Manhattan, Kansas. Justin Kutcher alongside James Bates and Brady Papinga on a 55-degree sunny day for football. The head coach of Iowa State in his 5th season is Paul Rhodes, the hometown boy, trying to get his first victory in Big 12 play this year. And on the other side, well, he's playing in the stadium that's named after both he and his family. Bill Snyder Family Stadium. Bill Snyder has had 2 stints here with this Kansas State team in his 22nd year. His numbers as the head coach, fantastic. Numbers against Iowa State, equally fantastic. Kansas State won the toss. They deferred, so Iowa State will receive. I tell you what, you guys were talking about this when we were driving over today. Not a lot of people get to come here to the Little Apple, but when you do, it's a special place. This is a great environment.
Man, you could smell football in the air as you got out into this cold, crisp fall air.
Jack Cantelli kicks off, and that is taken by Albert Gary. Gary on the return gets across the 25-yard line. As we take a look at the impact players on this side of the ball, James Bates.
And Justin, notice how right off the bat you got Gary instead of West. West is out. Wimberly is probably out, and that's a shame. He's been running hard, so it'll be up to Chantrell Johnson. And, of course, QB Quentin Bundridge is a big play guy outside. Blake Slaughter, redshirted last year, leads this team in tackles, and he flat-out leads this team. Ryan Mueller, what a nice surprise. A walk-on, earned a scholarship, and is currently tied for the lead in the Big 12 in sacks. Just a motor that doesn't stop.
Chantrell Johnson in the backfield here on first down with Sam Richardson in at quarterback. On first down, play action. Richardson rolls out, throws, and completes his first pass of the game to Dondre Daly. And that's a first down, a 12-yard pickup. So Sam Richardson, we talked about him, James. This is a guy who has just battled through injuries all year long.
Ankle, back, head, and neck. And the laundry list continues, and it's such a shame. Just a sophomore. Everybody's so high on him. A great two-way guy. They got him on the run first play and got a nice completion.
Hand off to Johnson. Johnson with a good run, still on his feet as he breaks the tackle. Another first down as he gets across midfield. A 13-yard pickup up to the 47.
And just as Brady hit on, look at these offensive linemen clearing the way for Johnson. And Johnson, it's going to take more than 1 or 2 hits to get these backs down, but it's just like Brady said off the top. This is a Paul Rhodes coach team. You know both of these teams are going to be physical and disciplined.
Back-to-back first downs here for Iowa State. Passing completes to Justin Coleman. Coleman, that's going to be very close to the first down marker. And it looks like it will be another first down. Randall Evans and Ty Zimmerman with the tackle.
I know baseball is officially over, but watch these guys up front. Watch the curveball, if you will, that they throw. They just went chest up and hit everybody up high. Now you go and you cut them. And that's on the quick throw to get those hands down. A defensive lineman has to protect himself with his hands on those cut blocks. Chop them down. Here comes the blitz off the edge, or they're showing it anyway, Justin.
Chantrell Johnson splits out. Devondrick Neely with his first carry of the game. And Neely's up to the 33. He gets 3. Jonathan Truman with the tackle.
And I really like this approach by Iowa State's offense. The quick passing game complemented with a nice running game to get their offense into rhythm. Because for what we've seen them in the last few weeks talk about Iowa State's offense, I think that's been their biggest challenge, especially early on, is getting into rhythm as an offense.
They've certainly gotten into a rhythm here early on. A few first downs, now facing 2nd and 7. Hand off to Johnson. And Johnson gets up to the 30, gets 3 again. Alana Finau with the tackle. So 3rd and 4 coming up. You look at Chantrell Johnson's numbers. This is a guy who had a near career-ending injury to his neck in 2011. He has come back, and now with the injury to Aaron Wimberly, he is the starting running back for Iowa State. Potentially in 2-down territory right now. And we have a flag, a false start against Iowa State.
False start. Number 70, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
We were just talking about that rhythm. There's nothing more that kills rhythm in these kind of opening drives than a false start pre-snap mental penalty. As a coach, you can handle the combative stuff, but when it comes to these mental penalties like the ones where you got to hold your water until the ball snapped, especially when you know what the snap count is on the offensive side of the ball, it just sort of kills your momentum and rhythm.
3rd and 9. James White comes in. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Richardson with time steps up and throws behind his receiver, Justin Coleman. Coleman was open. Richardson had time. That throw is behind him, so now decision time here for Paul Rhodes.
What did they tell us? Courtney Messingham, the offensive coordinator. We have got to complete the easy ones. It doesn't get any easier than that, Sam Richardson. It's a good route run at the sticks by Coleman. Now they'll keep him out there on 4th down.
4th and 9. Again, we go back to that false start. They could have had 4th and 4. Richardson stepping up, trying to run for it. Richardson dives, and he's going to be tackled short. Ty Zimmerman came up and delivered the hit.
And I think right there you can see the injuries have taken their toll on Richardson in these last 2 plays. In the 3rd down play, off on his throw, inaccurate. A lot of that comes because his base is affected because of his ankle injuries. And right here, his lack of quickness and explosion, again, I think has been affected because of his injury history, especially his recent history, talking about a little injury to the back, neck. And so I think you're seeing that the injuries they're affecting his play.
How about Ty Zimmerman, the Kansas boy, stepping up? And you know, both those guys, Sam Richardson as well. How many quarterbacks are you going to see they're going to go head first, try to get that extra yard? We saw him in Lubbock, Texas, take so many pops, only to pop right back up and keep playing, but all for naught here on the opening drive.
Jake Waters on 1st down. He will throw, complete that pass to Tyler Lockett, who breaks the tackle. And Lockett dives forward up to the 49. A 21-yard completion as we take a look at the impact players on this side of the ball.
Well, and right on cue, thank you very much, Mr. Lockett. Not quite a touchdown, the first reception in the first pass last week for Waters to Lockett, but a nice pickup nonetheless. Tremaine Thompson is back as well. George Washington for Iowa State. I cannot tell a lie. This has been a defense that has struggled, but those two have to be the ones to turn it around and get their first conference win here today.
I like what you did there, George Washington.
A lot of people can't do that.
No, that's impressive. Waters, pump fake, out of the pocket. He's going to run with this one, gets a good block. Waters cuts it back, and Waters is across the 30, and he is down at the 28. A 23-yard run there by Jake Waters.
Waters is the passer. They're trying to rush him. They're trying to heat it up. You can heat it up because you don't have to worry as much, right? Well, you've got to still maintain your rush lanes. Nobody on the edge to keep control. A good cut block down the field, and Waters showing you that he can run it a little bit too. His best day was in the win against West Virginia last week, through the air, and did a good job on the ground as well.
1st down and 10. It's Glenn Gronkowski, the fullback, who's in the backfield. Waters gonna throw towards the end zone. That's incomplete. Was looking for Tremaine Thompson. Dion Broomfield on the coverage. Jake Waters, the junior college transfer from Iowa Western, coming into this game. That may be the best passing yards numbers I've seen yet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds like a combination an idiot would have on his luggage.
You've been looking through Brady's bags again.
I don't even put a count on these guys.
On 2nd and 10, it's Hubert on his first carry of the day. And Hubert up to the 21, gets 7. Jeremiah George with his first tackle.
Well, nice field level here, and at 5'7", you can get lost behind that big offensive line. A good job, Brady, on the end by Trujillo. And how about this number? Wouldn't Iowa State like to have just half of this? Every single game starting lineup on the offensive line has been the same. This is the first time Iowa State can say that all year long.
3rd and 3 here for Kansas State. Waters' pass is complete to Tyler Lockett for the first down. Nigel Tribune there on the coverage.
And what you're going to see there, if we can maybe get the replay on this, is that they got a trip set, basically meaning 3 wide receivers away from Lockett. And basically all that is, it's like a basketball clear out, basically telling the defense of Iowa State, hey, we're going to put Lockett out in space against your best cover guy, and we're going to see if you're going to be able to defend him. And right there, Lockett won that one-on-one matchup.
So 1st and 10, red zone opportunity here for Kansas State with John Hubert in the backfield. It's kept by the quarterback, Waters, and Waters will dive forward. They mark him down at the 10, a 5-yard carry, 2nd down and 5. If you look very, very carefully, unfortunately we have high definition TVs. You can see the logo is kind of camouflaged. This is the first time under Bill Snyder that Kansas State has worn a variation of their helmet. That is because today is Fort Riley Day here at K-State. 2nd down and 5. Handoff, Hubert trying to get to the corner. Hubert to the end zone, touchdown. A 9-yard touchdown run by John Hubert, and Kansas State strikes first.
Man, you're going to see the right side of that offensive line. Look at 73, pancaking his guy. No, 73, Tavon Rooks getting his job done. Hubert, all he had to do was look for some green grass. And as James said, he finds himself in the paint there, the K-State paint.
Jack Cantelli now on for the extra point. After a stop on 4th down by the defense, Kansas State's offense looked good on its first possession. John Hubert with a 9-yard touchdown run, his 6th of the year. And they lead Iowa State 7-0 here in the first quarter. Seven 0 Kansas State leading Iowa State, and today Fox College Saturday presented by Kay Jewelers continues with a huge Big 12 showdown as 18th ranked Oklahoma State faces 15th ranked Texas Tech on Fox. Then in the nightcap, 20th ranked UCLA looks to get back on track as they host Colorado, and Fox Sports 1. Fox Sports, your home for college football all season long. Devondrick Neely in the backfield here on 1st down for Iowa State from their own 23. 1st down, Richardson rolling out to his right, has some room to run, and he will slide as he is across the 30 up to the 31-yard line, an 8-yard run.
Well, Sam doesn't look too bad running the football right now early, and a good job there on the end on a tough guy to block, and Ryan Mueller of sealing it down by Burton. You've got Burton, Locke, Farniok, Omoyla, and Daigle finally back together.
On 2nd down, the pass is complete to E.J. Bibbs, and Bibbs has enough for the 1st down. Tackled by Ty Zimmerman.
Well, Zimmerman had 12 tackles in the win over West Virginia last week. And just good and solid in open field. 55 on the year coming in.
Chantrell Johnson now in the backfield. And a flag is thrown. False start here against Iowa State.
False start. Number 11 offense. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
That's against Bibbs, who had just made the catch for the 1st down.
Guys, the first series. Nothing stopping Iowa State but themselves. They get in a 3rd and 5 situation, which isn't a bad spot for an offensive coordinator. I'd rather be an offensive coordinator than a defense coordinator. Then you do it again. You move the chains, and you're killing yourself. Discipline.
On 1st and 15, the pass comes near side. Complete to Dondre Daly, who gets wrapped up immediately by Kip Daly for a loss of 1.
Kip Daly had that read right from the quarterback's release to the belly of the wide out there. There needed, for Iowa State, I think they needed to have some kind of blocker out there to help him out, but that was a nice job there by Kip Daly, reading it, making a play right there. No gain.
2nd down and 16. James White comes into the backfield. Again, going without Aaron Wimberly today are the Iowa State Cyclones. Richardson stepping up, throws towards the sideline, and that is incomplete. It was brought in by Daly, but he was out of bounds as Dante Barnett was able to tackle him and force him out.
And that's a great rule. I love that. And that's smart by Barnett to basically pick up the wideout, carry him out of bounds. Because no matter if he catches it or not, it's going to be an incomplete pass. So he's using that 12th defender, guys. You hear about it all the time, as his ally there.
A bunch of defenders with your back turned there in a wide open middle of the field. Now you've got a 3rd down and forever.
3rd and 16. Richardson gets rid of it, and it's a low throw dropped by James White. Wouldn't have mattered. He wasn't going to go anywhere.
Justin, this is a well-coached defense. You can see these vice angles. You can see the open field tackling. And we've seen a couple rush lanes that you got to make sure you take care of with a guy like Sam Richardson. But you could tell right there on that incomplete pass. Sure, go ahead and catch it for 6 yards. We're fine. We're getting off the field. They understand the whole scheme.
Kirby Vanderkamp on for his first punt of the afternoon. We've got a couple of very good punters in this game. The fair catch signaled and made by Tremaine Thompson. A 46-yard punt by Kirby Vanderkamp. Well, first it was the defense stepping up for Kansas State. The offense stepped up on their last drive. When we come back, we'll see more of Tyler Lockett. 7-0 K-State over Iowa State. Seven 0 K-State leading Iowa State back here in the Little Apple. Jake Waters in the shotgun on that first drive. 29 rushing yards, 27 passing yards. John Hubert in the backfield as Curry Sexton goes in motion. And they hand off to Hubert, who breaks it for a big one. Hubert all the way down to the 21-yard line. Tackled by Jared Brackens, but a 54-yard run.
That's a very well-designed run there, because what you're going to do, see, is Sexton is going to go in motion across the formation and create all the, he's going to bring all the defenders. There's nobody else left on the backside of the formation, and that's where Hubert goes, to the vacated area of the defense. Another very well-designed play by Kansas State's offense.
That 54-yard run, the longest run of the year for Kansas State. The previous long was 37. And they go right back to Hubert. And this time Hubert gets wrapped up by Jaquez Washington and Nigel Tribune.
Boy, how much fun is it to watch this big, bad power football? You don't see it very often, but that last play, the 54-yard run, you had big guys just getting up, looking athletic and pulling together in unison. So there's something to be said about meshing with those offensive linemen that are next to you. B.J. Finney, the junior, started every game in his career. Former walk-on guys, captain of this team twice as a sophomore too last year.
Waters, that throw is incomplete in the direction of Tyler Lockett. Lockett broke towards the middle of the field. That pass is going towards the sideline.
That's a very interesting play there, because it puts the defense, especially the linebackers, in such a bind, because Waters is faking like he's going on a quarterback draw. And so that sucks in all the linebackers to support the run, and boom, there's excess space or dead space now that you can attack through the air. Unfortunately, obviously, for Kansas State, they're unable to complete that, but it's a unique play that you do not see very often, and I think it was Tim Tebow back in the Florida days who made a punt.
3rd down and 7. Play clock is down to 5. Waters pressured, and Waters is going to be sacked by Jaquez Washington. A big defensive play on 3rd down, a loss of 9.
That big offensive line thought they had them all picked up. A little bit of a delay is going to come from right here. Washington timing it up. Everything caves down, and it's a clean shot at Waters. And Jaquez Washington, Kwesi, he's an Oklahoma kid. He's getting back there, the captain of this team. They need him to make more plays like that.
Jack Cantelli from 44 yards out, and that kick is good. That is a new career long for Jack Cantelli. So Iowa State's defense comes up with a big play to get the sack with Jaquez Washington. That puts them in field goal position, and with that field goal, it's now 10-0 K-State. 10-0, Kansas State leading over Iowa State here in the first quarter. And next week, UFC Fight Night returns to Fox Sports 1 with 2 events beginning on Wednesday with UFC Fight for the Troops. Then next Saturday, it's an explosive light heavyweight showdown between 2 UFC legends as Vitor Belfort takes on Dan Henderson. UFC Fight Night coverage starts Wednesday at 5, the next Saturday at 8 only on Fox Sports 1. Ian Patterson will kick off here for Kansas State. And this kick will go out of the end zone for a touchback, which brings us to our first Lowe's Never Stop Improving game break. Let's go back to Patrick O'Neill.
Okay, Justin, thanks. Clemson, one of 3 teams in the top 8 of the BCS rankings at Virginia. We've seen this hookup before. Taj Boyd, Sammy Watkins for 6. However, Virginia just wrapped up a 10-play drive to tie things at 7 in the first quarter. Justin, back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Patrick. Back here, Justin Kutcher alongside James Bates and Brady Papinga. Couple of star linebackers. James with that 1996 National Championship Florida Gators team. Brady with BYU and 8 years in the NFL. And me, well, I'm just nobody. We've got Sam Richardson in the shotgun, hands off to Johnson on first down. And Johnson gets up to the 30-yard line, picks up 5. And Brady, you said before in that last drive you were shocked that Iowa State didn't try to run the ball at all.
Well, that first series, they really started to establish the running game, and that's what really started working for them. Then the second series, they sort of abandoned. I know they had the 1st and 15, but I think you've got to stick with what's working for you. And Iowa State has that run game working for them, at least in the first series.
2nd down and 5. Iowa State in the pistol. It's again Johnson. And Johnson gets a little push from some of his friends. And let's see where forward progress is. It's going to be very close. It looks like 3rd down will be coming up as Finau made the tackle.
How good must this feel for an offensive line at Iowa State to get in a little bit of a rhythm, a little bit of a groove, back-to-back starts all next to each other, and be able to power and pound it against a big physical front. That's what you play football for up front.
Jeff Woody in now, the power back for short yardage, and he gets stuffed. Blake Slaughter comes up to make the tackle. This is a guy in Slaughter who redshirted last year as a senior because there was a guy in front of him named Arthur Brown who went 2nd round to the Ravens, and he's a big key for this defense.
Look at that. Don't mess with the blocker if you don't have to. Go through there and stand him right up short, man. That's what it's all about. That's worth redshirting right there for plays like that. And you know, guys, Coach Dickey, way back when at Kansas State, redshirted every senior when he first came here for that same reason, so they could be ready the next year.
That punt by Vanderkamp will be marked out at the 27-yard line. Well, this week we asked our Facebook fans which team has the best chance to remain undefeated. And here's what you said. Alabama has a 44% chance, or at least that's what 44% of the country believes. Oregon 23, Ohio State 15, Florida State 13. James, I know both you and I disagree with the fans here. I think it's Ohio State who has the best chance to remain undefeated.
Well, and maybe even a Florida State. Here's some tough ones that they've got. And I don't know, maybe not everybody understood the question. Right. Because this team right here, Alabama, they're off this week, but they've got LSU next week.
Maybe it was like voting in the 2000 election in Florida. Who knows?
Some hanging chads. Well, not many teams can hang around with Nick Saban's Crimson Tide. A.J. McCarron's been dynamite again for him.
Waters, that delay, throws, completes to Terrell Miller. Miller breaks free, and he's going to get out all the way to the 36-yard line. A 37-yard completion from Waters to Terrell Miller.
And what Waters does a nice job of there is selling the quarterback draw. Look at him, just that little hesitation right there. That's what sucks up all the undercover guys, or I should say undercover guys. It creates the huge void in the defense for a nice big play there.
And you mentioned Tim Tebow earlier. We talked with Bill Snyder about this play yesterday, and he said, well, Urban came and spent some time with me about this quarterback runs, quarterback run-throw options. And you go back to some of those big Florida Gator games when they won those national championships, and that's exactly what Tebow did.
That pass was incomplete, too high for Curry Sexton. And it's funny, you know, we watched that replay of that Little pass to Thompson, excuse me, to Miller, and wearing number 15. He's a righty, not a lefty, but there were those similarities of what we used to see from Tim Tebow at Florida.
And I'll tell you what, from a linebacker's perspective, that play is so difficult because it's like pick your poison. What are you going to do? Go try to stop the run or stay back in coverage?
On 2nd down and 10, the zone read is kept by Waters as he spun forward up to the 34, gets 2, tackled by Jevin Miller.
You know, and to take it a step further, as a linebacker in the interior there, you're run first. You've got to stop the run, okay? So now you add this extra dimension that you know it could come a beat later. So you're going to be even later getting out of there. If you read play pass, even then you're out a little bit faster when it's just a fake to a back.
3rd down and 8. Waters back to pass over the middle, incomplete. No flag on the play. Tyler Lockett, the intended receiver. Nigel Tribune on the coverage.
Nigel Tribune played that perfectly. Iowa State brought the house on a blitz. Nigel Tribune's all by himself in coverage, plays the ball. Look at that, using his little hand to grab the waist. That's what you call a Charles Woodson special. The refs can't see that, and technically if the refs don't call it, it never happened. But in reality, that was a little pass interference. But nice job of being crafty by Nigel Tribune there to break up the pass.
Well, this would be a 51-yard field goal attempt by Cantelli. Cantelli's kick, and that was no good. I was almost thinking that maybe they'd go for a fake on this, where he adjusted it as long a 44 the previous field goal attempt.
Man, and it looked really like he hit that ball because it didn't even have a chance, I think, to make it for 20 yards. And I don't know if it was the hold, it was the snap. Hey, sometimes it's the laces not being out. And sometimes the cause of those. And so, yeah, that didn't even look like it had a chance there, that kick.
Well, and Cantelli's brother, Anthony, he was the difference in last year's big win up in Ames.
Turnover on downs here. Both teams now have turnovers on downs. Best starting field position here for Iowa State. On 1st down, the pass is complete to Justin Coleman, and Coleman gets across the 40 up to the 41, which brings us to a game break. Let's go back to Patrick O'Neill.
Justin, let James Bates know I do not do this on purpose. Georgia at Florida, 2 unranked teams, surprisingly. Todd Gurley back. He'd missed 3 games with injury, and Bulldogs happy to have him back. He went 73 for the touchdown. Bulldogs up 14-0. Back to you.
Patrick, James does not believe you. He threw a pen in disgust, and on that carry, it looks like it's a 1st down for Devondrick Neely.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I have never gotten a good report on my Gators from Patrick. I'm going to unfollow him. How's that? I am no longer your friend, Patrick. My goodness. And that's the number 4 defense in the nation. Show you how special Gurley is and how much they've missed him.
Hey, by the way, in that last play, Devondrick Neely had a nice job of displaying his power when he gets inside the tackles. I like that.
It's a handoff again to Neely, and Neely gets up to midfield, tackled by Shaquille Reed after a 6-yard pickup. So 2nd down and 4 coming up with about 30 seconds to go here in this 1st quarter.
And that's something you love in a running back. Whenever he falls down, you want him falling forward.
It's kept by Richardson, and Richardson runs in to big number 94, Alana Finau. And now 3rd down and 4 coming up. Let's see if they try to run the play before the quarter ends. I would suspect they will not. This 1st quarter comes to a close. 10-0. Kansas State leading 159 yards in this 1st quarter. The leaves are changing. It is officially fall here in Manhattan, Kansas. 10-0. K-State leading Iowa State as we get set to start the 2nd quarter. Justin Kutcher alongside James Bates and Brady Papinga. And Brady, Iowa State, they seem to be moving the ball well when they try to run the ball.
The key is you got to stay committed to the running game, because sometimes in the running game you are going to have negative plays, but it requires patience for that running game to really take.
And as far as Kansas State is concerned, they've had some big plays in this 1st quarter.
They've had 4 explosive plays over 20 yards. And most importantly, if you're Bill Snyder, Iowa State guys, 0. They gave up too many big hitters to Baylor, and it cost them the football game.
3rd and 4 here for Iowa State. They need to get to the 46-yard line. Richardson on the run. He's going to try to run for it, and Richardson will get that first down. Hobbled and all, you could see he is a gamer.
Great job by James White to pick up the rush coming off the edge as we take a look at these first quarter stats. What the 10.6 yards per play, that's what some of those big plays will do to you, and that's what I'm talking about. Down at the bottom, 0. That's huge for Kansas State. Big plays, penalties, and turnovers. That's how they won games last year, and it's cost them this year.
Those first quarter stats are brought to you by Chevy. Play action. Richardson rolling out to his right. Throws, and that is incomplete to his tight end, E.J. Bibbs. The pressure applied by Travis Britz.
Travis Britz made our guy, Sam Richardson, pay for holding on to that football. Oh, excuse me, Ryan Mueller made Sam Richardson pay for holding on to that football, because if you're Sam Richardson, you want to put your foot in the ground, that back foot. As soon as it hits, you got to get that ball out of there, or else you will take a hit like that. You'll pay a price.
2nd and 10 here for Iowa State. Richardson finds his running back Johnson out of the backfield, gets up to the 40. Jonathan Truman with the tackle after he picks up 5.
And in some cases, you know, from Sam Richardson's perspective, you got to take what the defense gives you. Yeah, everybody wants to throw the ball deep and take shots, but at times you go down to your check down and you give yourself a chance here on 3rd and 5 instead of settling for a 3rd and 10. It's a completely different down when you're talking about the 2.
6 for 10 on the day. They said they need to be up over 60% completion percentage to be effective. Did Iowa State. Good pickup on the coverage, but that pass was batted down. It looked like
Ryan Mueller, baby. The thing I like about Ryan Mueller, guys, everybody says it, and it's true about him. He plays with the motor. He's everywhere. He's hitting Sam Richardson in the backfield. He's getting his hands up, and sometimes that's all you have left as a rusher. You see him right here. Get his hands up. If you don't get to the quarterback, jump in the air. You're going to take it from an offensive lineman, which he does there, but he holds true and gets the ball back for his offense.
Just keeps fighting, guys. Bill Snyder told us yesterday, nobody practices harder than him. Nobody.
Kirby Vanderkamp with the punt, trying to get it inside the 10, and this one's going to go into the end zone for a touchback. Kansas State will have the ball from the 20 when we come back, leading by 10 here in the 2nd quarter. (10-0) Kansas State leading over Iowa State. 13:32 to go here in this first half. Kansas State will have the ball from their 20 to start here on this drive. Glenn Gronkowski in the backfield. In the shotgun is Jake Waters. On first down, the handoff is to Curry Sexton, and Sexton got hit late. Let's see if there's a flag. No, there is not. Sexton was hit by Jevin Miller after he got 8 yards.
You get caught peeking in the backfield here with all this misdirection, and they're out to the edge in a hurry, and it did. Now the flags and it was up high as well, that shot.
2nd down here. John Hubert now in the backfield. Under center is Jake Waters. Play action. Waters with plenty of time, taking a shot down the field, and that was nearly picked off by Nigel Tribune. Tyler Lockett was the receiver. It looked like he was actually open. They could have hit him.
Time and time again, Nigel Tribune continues to make big plays. This is a play action pass. He's supposed to bite on it a little bit, get some space. Absolutely not. And remind you, this is a true freshman. First true freshman to start at Iowa State in 2 years. This is his 4th straight start. Had an interception against Oklahoma State. Jacksonville reigns.
He's growing up quick, isn't he?
Oh, man, and he's fun to watch against Texas Tech. He did a great job covering, and they snuck it in a couple times on him.
On 3rd down, the handoff to Hubert, trying to bounce it outside. He's going to get stuck. Mitchell Myers. A loss of 1 on the play.
about it. We've had a couple big stops on a 3rd down and short to force a punt. First for Kansas State, and now we get one from Iowa State, Wally Burnham's crew. This is a defense that's given up some yards early, and then they've stiffened a couple times here the last couple drives, and they get off the field now.
Mark Krause on to punt, his first punt of the day for Kansas State. Albert Gary. He clears out of the way, and that one, it looked like it hit a K-State player and then covered up by that K-State player. And it will be Iowa State football when we come back, as they will take over at the 38-yard line. Quentin Bundridge, he's been kept in check so far, but he's a big play receiver for the Cyclones. 10-0, K-State leading, but the Iowa State defense stepping up and doing the job on 3rd and short.
And you're going to see here just a great job on the team defense. You got a guy out there setting the edge. Right here, you're going to see him come up and set the edge, and you're going to see number 90 here spin out of the block, and look at him come in, boom, and make a nice play for a tackle for loss for the Iowa State defense to get the ball back into their offense's hands. Number 90 Myers there making the big TFL.
Tackle for a loss, in case you weren't up hip to speed with all these terms that Brady's throwing out at you. Here on 1st down, Chantrell Johnson with the carry, and Johnson got strung out, will pick up a yard. Chris Brown there on the tackle.
They need to get something going here offensively. They moved it early. They need some points now. The defense is doing their job. Brady, did you see big Tom Farniok get up and run that time?
Man,
he's
Farniok
a center.
He's my kind of guy, man.
Oh, he is fun to watch. Don't get caught standing around the pile with Farniok out there. He'll peel you off in a hurry.
He will plant you in the ground.
2nd down and 9. And up again to Johnson. And Johnson is up to the 44-yard line, gets 4, tackled by Blake Slaughter, his 3rd of the game.
It's just a 1-yard gain, but look at the big man. Here's Farniok over here, the big block set over there.
Now, watch the tackle though, bro. Look at that. His head is outside, so he's cutting off the angle of the runner, and then he goes low. Zimmerman. That's why he's one of the top tacklers on Kansas State, because the guy knows how to tackle, ladies and gentlemen.
Big guys moving, big guys down like Locke and Farniok. They need to help get a 1st down. Got to move the chains here, Cyclones.
3rd and 4. Play clock is down to 4, and a timeout taken by Sam Richardson. He saw something defensively that Kansas State was showing, didn't like it, calls a timeout. That's the first timeout for Iowa State. 3rd and 4 when we come back for the Cyclones. Back here on the campus of Kansas State University in Manhattan, Kansas. It is 10-0. K-State leading Iowa State. And 3rd and 4 coming up here for the Cyclones. After the timeout, 1 for 5 on 3rd downs. Chantrell Johnson in the backfield. Albert Gary in motion. Richardson. Pressure, escapes, throws high, and it's picked off. Ty Zimmerman. Intended for Justin Coleman, who was open, overthrew him, and Zimmerman with his 2nd interception of the season and the 12th of his career.
The pressure got to Richardson because he had Justin Coleman over the middle of the field right when his back foot hit, but because of the middle pressure forced or put on there by Kansas State, Richardson couldn't see him. So now he had to scramble around and threw up a duck that was picked off.
Did a great job of escaping the rush. Guys bought himself some time, and that's the 2nd time he's missed a big hitter, what could have been to Justin Coleman. And Ty Zimmerman, the senior Kansas kid, just keeps on making plays here for his Wildcats. It was a big turnover.
1st down from their own 39. Handoff is to Hubert, and a flag comes in. Hubert gets up to the 41. Jevin Miller with the tackle. Let's see what this flag is for. The referee today is Greg Burks.
Holding, number 85 offense. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's against the tight end, Zach Trujillo.
Well, Jevin Miller in there, of course. He started the first game of the season, and then it was all Luke Knott. Gosh, hate to see him. Good luck to Luke, too. He's got a hip surgery coming up, it looks like. It's just it's an injury that's been bothering him all season long.
After the holding penalty, it's now first down and 20 here for Kansas State. Waters sets his feet, throws, completes the pass to Curry Sexton, and Sexton gets wrapped up right away by Nigel Tribune after a pickup of 6.
Nigel Tribune not only showing that he can cover, but by golly, I love that tackle. I mean, the reaction time and the ability to go stick his head in there, and not only stick his head, he wraps up. Everybody discounts how important it is to wrap up when you tackle, but by golly, that's the most important part of the tackle, is wrapping up and getting the guy to the ground.
He's got to be on somebody's all-freshman team. He's a heck of a player, guys. Played with a guy named Anthony Lotta, cornerback from his high school. Jacksonville Reigns was spectacular as well.
On second down and 14, Waters, good coverage down the field. He comes back, and once again, he finds Curry Sexton, and Sexton gets 3. Jaquez Washington with the tackle. You mentioned Luke Knott on the sideline with the surgery upcoming. The younger brother of Jake Knott, who was here last year with this team.
And if you talk to Wally Burnham, the defensive coordinator, the one thing that really impressed him about Luke Knott was his ability to be able to catch on to all the coverage responsibilities. And if you ask me, that's probably the most complicated part of being in college football from high school football. That's the coverage end of things.
3rd and 11. Waters gets sacked by Jeremiah George. He looked like James Bates playing against Georgia back in the day on that.
Wow. Hey, what has worked for Iowa State? A delayed blitz. Watch how late it takes George to come through there and clear the way. Remember, we had the sack from Washington early. K-State gets back there. They get everybody locked down, and then that delayed blitz comes through there. And sometimes it's great to time it up right on the snap. Other times it's perfect way to beat her, too.
4 straight 3rd down stops by this Iowa State defense. Mark Krause on to punts. And a fair catch by Gary, and he makes it at the 28-yard line. Sam Richardson, the quarterback for Iowa State, they've had some progress running it, but he's been under pressure.
And that's the thing that ultimately kills your offense, obviously, when you're throwing the football, is get your quarterback disrupted under pressure. And he's missed guys in the back end because he's been under pressure. And so you got to give Kansas State's front a lot of credit, and their linebackers and their defensive coordinator, for bringing the heat on Sam Richardson and causing him to be disrupted. And it looks like we got ourselves a new quarterback for Iowa State here, guys.
Grant Rohach is in at quarterback. The redshirt freshman from Moore Park, California. Strong arm, more of a pocket passer. On 1st down, he's going to hand off to Devondrick Neely. Neely trying to get to the outside, and he gets tackled by Dante Barnett after he picks up 1.
And another nice tackle by Barnett there. And again, on those angle tackles, when the running back is running to the sideline, it is essential when you're the tackler to put your head to the outside, because that's where you get your center mass, stopping the momentum of the ball carrier, and that's what Barnett did to perfection right there.
2nd down and 9. Play action. Rohach, his first pass is complete. Breaking a tackle is Daly. And Daly, with that second effort, will get the 1st down up to the 39.
Man, it looked like Daly had some kind of soap or slippery substance on his pads there. He's able to shake off 2 Kansas State defenders. You're going to see him right here, shaking off the arm tackles there. Both Kansas State defenders, being able to pick up the 1st down.
On 1st down, the handoff on that zone read. Ryan Mueller not fooled. Chantrell Johnson, and is that the inexperience of Rohach, where he's got to keep it?
Well, and that's the read. That's the read, and that just takes time. It takes reps, and especially when you got like Mueller sitting there, you're staring down the barrel of a loaded gun. Lucky to get this one back. I think it went down to the turf.
A loss of 2 on the play. Rohach swings it out to his tailback, Johnson, and Chantrell Johnson, another 1st down as he is up to the 47 of Kansas State, a 16-yard completion.
Boy, they're Iowa State. You got to put the hammer down now. Here they can go a little bit of tempo now. This isn't a running quarterback like you said, but we've seen a couple ropes that he's thrown out there. This is a good-looking right arm on Rohach.
Rohach, the hand up the middle to Devondrick Neely. And Neely is across the 40.
Back to your comment earlier, Justin, about Rohach maybe being a little rusty. I mean, the guy hasn't seen a lot of game time reps. And game time reps is a lot different than practice. The speed is at a whole new level.
A little bit of tempo now, guys.
2nd and 2. Short pass, and that is in the ground. And you can see Rohach is going, oh, I had it. It was right there. That's my bad.
And the Hawkeye, or the, excuse me, the Cyclone Nation is as well, because that has been the killer. Good play, good play. You got a defense on their heels, and just when you can put it to them, that's a first down. If it's a complete pass, the easy ones, they got to complete the easy ones.
3rd and 2. It's Johnson in the backfield. He splits out, empty backfield. Rohach steps up, run. He will get the first down as he gets up to the 32. A good scramble there, picks up 7. Blake Slaughter's there to bring him down.
I thought Rohach looked pretty good there on the move. As you're going to see here, he goes back and looks at his progression, which means he's looking at his options. Nothing there, just takes off. He's able to get a first down.
Rohach, his pass was behind his intended receiver, Dondre Daly. 2nd down and 10 coming up. So a couple of passes, missed opportunities here by Rohach and Iowa State.
I like the way he carries himself, though. You see him pop up after that first down run, he's barking. And I guess in this day and age, it shouldn't surprise us. Jameis Winston's a redshirt freshman getting to go tonight. Johnny Manziel last year as a freshman took home the big hardware.
Texas Tech with true freshmen.
Couple of them. Need to get something here. You don't want him in a 3rd down and 10.
On 2nd and 10, it's Johnson on the carry. Couple of dance moves as he's across the 30 up to the 29. Blake Slaughter with his 5th tackle gets 3. So 3rd and 7 coming up.
And I can only imagine that Rohach right now in his breath, he is probably hardly able to breathe, and that's a lot of times what happens when you come off the sidelines, unexpectedly maybe. And now all of a sudden you're thrown into a game time situation. He's just got to settle down a little bit. Take a big deep breath. Relax.
10th play of the drive coming up. James White in the backfield. Rohach throws, and that was for James White, who wasn't looking. Kip Daly was there on the coverage.
And I like that choice by Rohach there. I think that's where you got to go. But you got to start. You got to look. I mean, look at it. He's not even looking at the ball until it's already past him. You got to get your eyes back. You got to be ready to go.
Cole Netton will come on to try a 46-yard field goal attempt. His long on the year was 41. And that is no good. Hooks right away, so miss from 46, and it's still a 10-point lead for Kansas State. It's at halftime. Right now, we've got another quarterback in the game right now for Kansas State. That is Daniel Sams, and Sams, an explosive runner. He can throw it as well. On 1st down, the design run for Sims. And Sims able to cut it back up the middle. Will get up to the 33-yard line. Picks up 4, tackled by Mitchell Myers. And just at the break, Brady Papinga, you were saying to me that this K-State team needs to run the ball up the middle. Next thing you know, here comes Daniel Sams.
Yeah, I think the offensive minds of Kansas State saw that, hey, we need to start getting back to what was working for us early on in the game, which is running right at that Iowa State defense, because that's really where Iowa State's weak. Where Iowa State's very strong, and their strength as a defense is on the edges and in space, especially against the running game.
2nd down and 6. Sams again looking to run, hits that hole. You can see the explosion. Up to the 48-yard line. Deion Broomfield takes him down after a pickup of 15.
And look at this juice as number 4 pops up. Looking at the back of that number 4 jersey, Baylor got a whole lot of that, lucky to get in here and out with a win because of this guy. 199 yards rushing, and those offensive linemen creating big holes up front. And now what happens, guys? This is the two-way threat. When you got a guy that can run it and throw it really, really good, which we've got a quarterback that started this game for K-State that can really throw it, kind of run it. Well, Sam's is getting better throwing it. When he hurts you time and time again, then look out when you try to cheat in a little bit and help on him. He'll get you with the pass.
Sam's fake the pass, gonna cut it back. Look at that move. Jaquez Washington finally brought him down. He picks up 5. The missed tackle by Nigel Tribune. That was a little shimmy shake.
But still, you know, call it a miss, but he forced him back inside. Too many times this year, guys, we've seen a guy let him get outside. I'll take that miss, won't you, Brady?
Oh, yeah, but I'll tell you what I like about Sam's is he has a lot of the tailback mentality, meaning he's very patient. He lets the block set up. He sort of lets the defense start to pursue, and then he turns on the jets. And that's a very running back-esque skill to have for a quarterback.
He came into this game 4th in the Big 12 in rushing yards. Sam's back to pass with time, throws and completes it to Lockett, and that's a good tackle by Jansen Watson. Otherwise, Lockett was going down the sideline. That is good enough for a first down.
And those comeback routes by Lockett are money, and that's because he is so dangerous on those vertical threats because of his speed. So all defenders, when they see Lockett rolling vertically, they know they have to get deep and get deep fast. And then Lockett, what he does, boom, puts the brakes on and comes back. And Sam did a nice job there with the timing of the comeback route.
Guys, it had been back-to-back 3 and outs for this Iowa State defense. Now they need a big play here because the momentum definitely on the side of the purple with Sam's in there.
Play clock down to 3. Sam's throws, and that is incomplete for Zach Trujillo. Had to throw off his back foot as he was getting pressured by Jevin Miller and Jared Brackens.
Nice call by Wally Burnham, the defensive coordinator of the Iowa State Cyclones. He felt his defense was on their heels a little bit, and he's like, okay, we're going to try to dictate the tempo and get you back on your heels, Kansas State, and that's why he called the blitz. It was one of those edge rushing blitzes to evade any kind of bootleg or outside rushes.
And it truly shows you the chess game. Talk about rolling the dice. Think if they don't get to him, all those backs, defensive backs with their backs turned, Daniel Sam's will hurt you. That's a big play defensively.
John Hubert, he'll take the handoff, and Hubert gets tackled by Rodney Coe. He'll pick up 3 yards, so here comes 3rd down, 3rd and 7. Can this defense for Iowa State come up with a stop again? With coming up on 2 minutes to go here in this first half. Kansas State leading 10-0. Justin Kutcher alongside James Bates and Brady Papinga here at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. The first drive of the game for Daniel Sam's, the dual threat quarterback known more for his legs than his arm. On 3rd and 7, Sam's gets pressured, escapes the pressure. Sam's looking to throw, throws high, and that one is hauled in. Tremaine Thompson battling Dion Broomfield, and he brings it in.
Where are we right now? We had some park watching some kids play pickup football. By golly, that may be the one, guys.
Watch Crick is going to have him dead to rights. And how wiggly is Daniel Sam's, keeping it alive and then just throwing it up there, and it should have been picked off. Welcome back, Tremaine Thompson, the senior from Jenks, Oklahoma. Missed 2 weeks, missed the Baylor game, had a touchdown in his return last week against West Virginia in the win.
And now a timeout is taken here by Iowa State, the second timeout of the half for Iowa State. But let's look back at that play again. One that Brady Papinga thinks should be a nomination for the one on Fox Sports Live. We're just going to see what Tremaine Thompson does to get free. But I was really impressed with how Sam's bought all that time.
And that's really so difficult for a defensive backfield to do, is to cover for 4 or 5 seconds. And that's what Sam's did there, is he was running around in the backfield for about 4 or 5 seconds, and all of a sudden guys are getting uncovered, and lo and behold, he just throws it up there. And Thompson, look at him, just sticking with the ball, bouncing off guys' helmets, and was able to make a nice big play there for his team. And I think Paul Rhodes, he called a timeout there, really. It's like a basketball timeout. Felt the momentum sort of starting to work against him. He's like, man, we gotta settle things down a little bit.
Well, they also wanted to make sure the booth upstairs had a chance to look at a very big play, not just in question the end, which obviously was a catch, but wanted to make sure Sams wasn't across the line. Doesn't seem to be the case. A fresh set of downs now for K-State.
1st and 10 from the 22 of Iowa State. Sams again with that run. Plants that foot, gets the outside, and he gets run out by Jeremiah George, his 3rd stop of the day.
Man, and there's that patience again by Sams. I mean, you rarely see that in a quarterback. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I've seen a quarterback that patient just to let his blockers sort of get out in front of him, do their deal, then he takes off.
That's what Colin Klein was known for last year with this team. He would almost stop as he's waiting for his blockers to set, and then he'd start up again. It was unbelievable, but this guy has even more explosiveness than Colin Klein. Hubert now into the backfield. He'll take the handoff up the middle. Hubert is inside the 5.
And what that play right there is, guys, is what it is. It's a zone read, but it's a middle zone read, and it's putting the defensive tackle. You see number 92. He's the one they're reading, and the reason why he gives the ball, Sands, is because number 92 is too far upfield. That's Austin Crick there. And so basically it's just like the zone read you see on the outside of the formation, but now they're running it to the inside guy who's not really used to playing the zone read responsibilities.
1st and
Timeout,
goal.
Iowa State.
And Iowa
Their
State
third and
will
final
use
of the
its
half.
final timeout of this
30-second
half.
timeout.
50 seconds to go here. 1st and goal from the 4 coming up on the Pizza at halftime with Rob Stone, Coy Wire, and Petros Papadakis. A Big 12 test for Texas. Ohio State's, well, at this point right now, they're going for style points because that's all they can do in a Big 10 overtime thriller. Those guys, Rob, Coy, and Petros, will get you caught up on all that's happening across the country in college football on this Saturday afternoon. Right now, it's a 10-0 game as Kansas State leads Iowa State here in the Little Apple. And it's 1st and goal from the 4 for Kansas State. As we look at the standings in this conference, Baylor 4-0, Texas 4-0, Oklahoma 4-1. A huge matchup coming up on Thursday night in Waco as Baylor will host Oklahoma. That's going to be an absolute blast.
It's going to be interesting to see how the Stoops brothers, the defensive masterminds that they are, how are they going to defend that explosive Baylor offense that up until this point nobody has even come close to figuring out.
Can't wait to call that game with Joel Klatt and Petros Papadakis Thursday night right here on Fox Sports 1. 1st and goal from the 4. Daniel Sams in the shotgun. Gronkowski has the fullback. Sams, he will keep it, and Sams gets tackled by Jeremiah George. Picks up 2, so 2nd and goal from the 2.
That's
Timeout.
Interesting play there.
Kansas State, their 1st of the half. 30 seconds in length.
With this timeout, Kansas State, they've gone to Daniel Sams here on this drive. Jake Waters started the game. And if you look at the history of this Kansas State Wildcat offense under Bill Snyder, he took over a program that was in disarray. Michael Bishop, his quarterback, came in, and look at what he's done over the years.
And you know what he's done a nice job of? He's made the running back a quarterback. And basically, I was going to make the point on that last play is Sams essentially was lined up like a running back. They're directly snapping the ball to Sams. And what that does is it allows you to have more blockers at the point of attack, because now you're not wasting the quarterback away on a play action fake or a bootleg fake. You're actually making it part of the run.
But guys, more than anything, it can be the K-State Wildcat offense, it can be the Wildcat, it can be the spread. It's the mindset that he has changed around here, and arguably maybe the best job ever as a college football coach is what Bill Snyder's really done, changing this program, taking it from a one bowl team in its history. That's what they expect to do around here.
2nd and goal. Hubert. And Hubert gets stopped again. This time by Willie Scott. He gets a yard, so now it's 3rd and goal from the 1. And Kansas State will use another timeout to stop the clock.
30 seconds in length.
These guys, we thought this would be a hard-fought game. We've heard these guys, we've seen these guys making some tackles. Now listen to them.
Yeah, all kinds of good sounds. Listen, one more shot at it. Getting dirty down low. Had a couple 3rd and short stops. Good sounds from the band. Wabash Cannonball. Anytime you get that. And how about the pregame mix by Bill Snyder. He chose them all from what they say, and it was as good as it gets.
I was quite impressed with that performance. I mean, I thought maybe we'd have some songs from Pinocchio, but nothing there. It was strictly some good music.
I'll tell you what, I could hang out with Bill Snyder. I mean, honestly,
Actually,
that
I want to
playlist,
see that.
Yeah.
that playlist right there, if you go to my car with the kind of music I listen to, almost every single one of those songs are on my playlist. I was shocked. And I was blown away that it was Bill Snyder, the one that liked listening to U2 and all that kind of stuff. I like it, Bill. I wish I could give you knuckles right now, man, but you're on the sideline.
Don't forget, he's got a few kids and some grandkids as well. Maybe help with the input. So here's 3rd and goal now from the 1. Sam's in a shotgun. With that patience, and Sams gets in for the touchdown. A 1-yard touchdown run by Daniel Sams on 3rd and goal. And on that drive, 6 carries, 34 yards, and that touchdown.
With the extra point attempt for K-State, number 3, Jack Cantelli.
In for the extra point is Jack Cantelli. And the extra point is good.
Right up the middle, B.J. Finney is where it all starts, the center for this K-State offense. Cody Whitehair, watch the left guard. See how he's light? Well, there's a good chance. Go ahead and run it. There's a good chance he's going to pull. You got to see that pre-snap. There's the patience you talk of. And it's just too easy for him to get on in there. And then you throw in the fact that they do have a pass option off of that. We talked about it. Look at these big guys up front, just blowing guys off of the football. Willie Scott took one there. There's a bad angle coming inside on Washington. And the big, strong legs for the kid from the shores of Lake Pontchartrain back in Slidell, Louisiana.
4 minutes and 37 seconds taken off the clock on that 12-play, 71-yard drive. The first drive of the game for Daniel Sams. And Brady, you mentioned it, the fact that here he is, they make him look like a running back. He's got the moves of a running back. I mean, this guy is super athletic.
Yeah, and the thing I love is he's the patience, because people don't realize that a lot of times, and I mean, I did this when I played running back, to be honest with you. Is
You
when
were
get
a running back?
Believe it or not, when you get that ball, sometimes you just want to hit wherever you're supposed to run as hard and as fast as you can, but you can't. You got to let your blockers do the job first.
Ian Patterson, the short kick. Albert Gary takes it at the 20. Gary still on his feet now. He'll get wrapped up at the 30-yard line with 34 seconds to go here in this first half. And Big East basketball is coming to Fox Sports beginning Friday as Boston College takes on Bryce Cotton and the Providence Friars in the season opener for both teams at 6 p.m. Eastern on your new home for Big East basketball, Fox Sports 1. Grant Rohach in again here at quarterback. Iowa State with no timeouts remaining.
And I think you basically get a running play here or a quick pass play, something low risk, and just see what happens. You get a big game, press it. If you don't, go into halftime.
And off to Chantrell Johnson. And Johnson across the 35 up to the 36. Ryan Mueller with his second tackle. And let's see if they even bother running a different play. There is a player down on the field. That is Daniel Burton, the right tackle.
Gosh, these poor guys up front, they just can't stay out there.
Have you ever seen a team through 7 games use 7 different combinations for a starting line?
I don't think so. It's, you know, and Locke, you know, has gotten stronger every week.
And the thing is, too, guys, is with the offensive linemen, there's so much chemistry and rapport that has to be developed amongst them because they are always communicating.
It's out of timeouts. The injury stopped the clock. We'll have a 10-second runoff. Please set the clock to 13 seconds.
So it just makes life that much more difficult for your offense when you're dealing with so many different combinations of offensive linemen.
And, you know, it's the mentality. There isn't a meeting room. There isn't a group of guys on a football team that is closer and cares about one another more than offensive linemen. I mean, they are always together. They got their own little language even. And so this hurts. It hurts the team. It hurts that meeting room. They just, their buddies are dropping like that, and they just can't keep them out there. It's got to weigh on them.
Jacob Dunning goes in for Daniel Burton. was knocked down by Randall Evans. And that is the end of this first half. It's 17-0 Kansas State with 145 rushing yards in the first half. Now let's go back for the College Saturday studios and the Pizza at halftime with Rob Coy and Pettis as we get set to start the third quarter. Kansas State leading Iowa State. Justin Kutcher alongside the linebackers, James Bates and Brady Papinga. And Brady, you talked about the toughness of this Iowa State team coming into this game. What do you think of the first half for the Cyclones?
Well, right now, down 17-0, that toughness is going to be tested, and we'll see if Iowa State's going to answer the call.
Okay, now as far as Kansas State is concerned, we saw their offense last year, James, with Colin Klein. They don't have him, but they still run similar plays.
Well, this run-pass option for the quarterbacks, both Sams and Waters run it. Here it's Waters. Look at Terrell Miller. He sells. It looks like he's going to block. Thinks Deion Broomfield. It buckles him down just enough. And look at the backers. Look at Miller. Look at Jeremiah George. They bite just enough because they have to respect that run first. There's nobody underneath in the window to make that a tough pass at all, and it's just too easy to start a big drive early for Kansas State. And both these quarterbacks do it. And we see now why a lot of coaches from all over, they want to get a piece of Bill Snyder, his mindset, his mentality of his football team. They also like some of the offensive plays that he runs. Most notably, Urban Meyer won a couple national titles at the University of Florida with stuff just like that with Tim Tebow.
Well, Iowa State will kick off here in this second half. Edwin Arceo kicks off with Tyler Lockett back deep. This is returnable. Lockett from the 10. Lockett will get out across the 25. They will mark him down at the 27-yard line. Time for our first half stats, brought to you by K Jewelers. 145 yards on the ground for Kansas State.
Well, Justin, right down here at the bottom right corner, 0 turnovers, 1 penalty in this football game. That we spent a lot of time, talked ad nauseum yesterday with Bill Snyder about those types of things. Don't give up the big play either, and that's one thing that they have done defensively for Kansas State.
Jake Waters is back in at quarterback on first down. The handoff to John Hubert. And Hubert, good second effort, will get that ball out to the 33-yard line, picks up 7. We talked about the fact that we'll see 2 quarterbacks here for K-State. This is what both of them did in that first half.
Well, and we saw flashes of good quarterback play from both of them. As you look at the numbers, Brady, it's Mike Leach that says, give me 2 starting quarterbacks, and I'll show you 2 average quarterbacks. And it makes you wonder if one could be that much better if it was just his show to run in this system, because both have been pretty good, not just today, but at times throughout the season.
On second down and 3, it's Hubert again. Trying to bounce to the outside, and he gets pulled down by Jeremiah George for the 5th tackle of the game.
And look at Jeremiah George. Brady, you know exactly what he did. He popped right back up, and he said, go ahead and hold me all day, Rooks. Hold me all day long. I'm still going to make the tackle. Rooks was holding on to him, had his jersey. He fought out of it, got outside, and made the drop, and he popped right back up and gave the big tackle a mouthful.
That's all those big offensive linemen can do sometimes is hold. That's what they're taught to do.
Not
hold on to
sometimes,
jersey.
sometimes, all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, get ready, Justin. This whole second half is going to be a beat up of quarterbacks.
3rd and 2. There is that pass, and it's out to Zach Trujillo for the first down, 19 yards. So, okay, guys, you 2 are linebackers. How would you approach that?
That's a good question. At the end of the day, you have to have some kind of key what you're looking at. And to be honest, your linebackers, come on, you got to have them playing downhill and fast. I don't know how else you would respond to that, James. What do you think?
Well, you can help it out by getting some contact at the line, getting a good hit on a tight end, because remember, he's in there in the thick of things. And if you think it's run, one way to do it, penetration, blowing things up, creating a log jam, it would help him get out of that route.
Hubert on first down takes the handoff, and he'll get a couple yards. Jeremiah George there with his 6th tackle. Jeremiah George trying to make it 7 straight games with at least 10 tackles. He came in 4th in the country in tackles with 81 on the season.
A lot of Florida kids on this Cyclone team that are big playmakers. We've seen young Nigel Tribune make plays. Jeremiah George is from Clearwater, Florida.
Notice how James always wants to talk about Florida.
He's a Florida guy.
2nd down and 8. On the pass, nice catch by Curry Sexton. up at the 32-yard line, a 13-yard completion.
And that's an in curl right there by Sexton, just finding the dead space in the zone, and then Waters does a nice job of setting his base, stepping into his throw, and throwing a strike.
Sexton 100 yards receiving last week. Guys, earlier in the first half, we saw Sexton, the receivers taught to come back and help your quarterback out, keep coming back. He came back so far that he lost the yard. Remember that? We didn't get a chance to talk about it.
It's kept here by Waters on that zone read. He'll get a yard. Jevin Miller with his 3rd tackle.
So this is Waters' specialty right here. Looking at those big trees, there you see what Waters is dealing with, and just missing it. Not able to get a hand up. And you see, if you look at that, who is that number there? 93. That's Brandon Jensen. You notice his right hand was free. His left hand was tied up. As a defensive lineman, I've got to get separation. I've got to use my hands, and I can get both hands up if I have enough separation, and that ball comes down. He was tied up with the other arm.
Daniel Sams comes in here on 2nd down and 9, and Sams breaks a tackle but couldn't break the 2nd tackle by Willie Scott. He gets 6, so it's 3rd down and 3. Jake Waters shaken up a bit after that last play when he came out. So that's the luxury of having 2 quarterbacks who play a lot. You're not going to have that drop off or that unfamiliarity with the offensive line when you bring in the different quarterback. 3rd down and 3. Sams led a touchdown drive on his only drive in the first half, and he runs here on 3rd and 3, and Sams is going to get stuffed. Jeremiah George once again comes up from that middle linebacker position to make the tackle.
And that's how you do it, guys. You come downhill, and before the tackle who's pulling can turn, you get a shot on him, because that's where you have your greatest advantage as a smaller linebacker. That's what Jeremiah George did. Not only take the blocker on, but he made the play.
And helped, too, by the good instincts of Jaquez Washington. 2 impact players there combining for a big 3rd down stop and force a field goal try.
And now Jack Cantelli will try from 42 yards out. And Cantelli's kick is good this time. So he's 2 for 3 on the day. Has made 1 from 44, 1 from 42. He's missed from 51. Jeremiah George, a couple of good tackles as he's following what's going on with those eyes. But K-State leads 20-0. They're doing push-ups here in Kansas State as the Wildcats lead 20-0 over Iowa State. And check out the field goal. And the holder, Mark Krause, laces out for Jack Cantelli. Yet for Iowa State, Cole Netton, with Justin Coleman holding, the laces were not out.
And you wonder how much that really affects the kicker with that whole different surface area of the ball there with the
Just ask Ray Finkel.
Yeah, he's sitting somewhere watching this saying, I'll tell you how much it affects. Or is it Einhorn? Either one. Either one.
Finkel is Einhorn.
Finkel is Einhorn? I told you were in trouble today. Get Brady up here in the booth. The backers make it kooky.
After the touchback, Iowa State will take over at the 20. It is Grant Rohach, excuse me, at the 25 after that touchback. The quarterback comparison, Richardson 6 for 12, Rohach 2 for 6. And let's see what Rohach can do with Chantrell Johnson in the backfield. They swing it out on 1st down to Justin Coleman, a former walk-on who gets tackled by Randall Evans after he picks up 7.
I think that's smart. Get Rohach into rhythm. I mean, he came off the bench cold in the first half. The second half here, get him into rhythm, get him feeling comfortable.
But still, he provided a spark when he came off the bench. And that's not the easiest of throws. It's almost throwing it blindly, and it shows you how many times they run that, even as a backup quarterback in practice.
On 2nd down and 3, the handoff to Johnson. Johnson jumps over a guy on the ground. Ryan Mueller tackles him. Back at the line of scrimmage, so 3rd down and 3 is coming up, and Mueller is down on the ground.
Oh, man. It's the heart and soul of that Kansas State defense there, and Ryan Mueller. I hope he can get up.
He came into this game 6 sacks on the season, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 9.5 tackles for a loss. And like you guys said, he is the unquestioned leader of this team, a former walk-on to go and put up those numbers, remarkable.
Just through and through. And look at Bill Snyder out there immediately. I mean, for Bill Snyder, it's tough. It's tough for him to compliment a kid, and I'm sure he does. Well, I know he does. He says he writes kids that have good games. He'll write them a handwritten letter, tell them how wonderfully they played. Here's a kid, guys, started a landscaping business when he was 12 years old. Worked it through high school. He had to continue working this landscaping business back home while he was a walk-on, while he wasn't on scholarship. Here's the end of that play. Bill Snyder called his high school coach, Joe Bob Clements. Here he is just at the end of the play. He may have gotten the wind knocked out of him. Hopefully that's all it is. But he got a call while he was working on a lady's yard. Said, "Miss, I'm sorry, but I'm done pulling weeds. I got to go play some football." Well, I love it.
Much better alternative. 3rd down and 3. Devondrick Neely in at tailback.
They need this in a big way, Justin. Big way. Find a way to move the chains.
Neely splits out, empty backfield. Rojas up the middle, and he will slide, has the 1st down.
Wow, that's all you need. Nobody there. You got to go cover down those receivers. Last man standing, you send them out, and you get just enough. Wild run behind Tom Farniok any day of the week when you need 3 yards, and he does a great job of getting that edge, getting that angle.
Rojas rolling out to his right, pump fake. Rojas now he's going to throw this one away wisely. The pressure applied by Randall Evans, and that's what you like to see from a redshirt freshman. Realizing I've got nothing, let's just make it 2nd and 10.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so many guys in that position would try to force something downfield, maybe risking an interception, but there's times when it's not a bad play to take a sack or throw the ball out of bounds like you see there. You get to live for another day. It's only 2nd and 10. You're not giving the ball up.
And even veteran quarterbacks. Look at Sean Mannion last night. That's guy arguably last week best quarterback in the nation, and he threw a couple boneheaded picks.
Neely on the handoff, took a hit, got a couple yards. Blake Slaughter with his 7th tackle of the day. I'm still impressed by Slaughter. I know we talked about it before, but redshirting last year because of Arthur Brown in front of them, realizing they're going to have some depth issues at linebacker this year. So he redshirts and now comes back as a leader on this defense. Came in with 61 total tackles on the year. 3rd and 8 here for Iowa State. Can they convert on 3rd down again? Coming up on 8 minutes to go in the quarter. Rojas stepping up, has Green. Rojas trying to make a move, and he's not going to get the 1st down. Dorian Roberts was there. He got 7 when he needed 8.
And that's exactly how that defense is designed for Kansas State. They stay deep. It's sometimes very difficult, especially if you're an undercover guy, to just get sucked up with the under routes. But no, the guys stay deep, and they know that, hey, that quarterback's not going to scramble and get a 1st down on a 3rd and 8. And so, again, the discipline, it just shows you how well coached this Kansas State defense and team is. Very disciplined.
Kirby Vanderkamp to punt. Jermaine Thompson is back. A good punt. And this one is going to be downed inside the 10-yard line at the 9. A 45-yard punt by Kirby Vanderkamp. We'll look at University Gardens here in the Little Apple of Manhattan, Kansas. It is 20-0 K-State over Iowa State. (20-0) Kansas State leading Iowa State, backed up at their own 9-yard line.
There's Tom Hayes, defensive coordinator. We've talked up that defense throughout the day, pitching a shutout. Look at him there on the sidelines. You know, it's not just Hayes and these Wildcats today, guys, but you look across the landscape of college football, there's a lot of offense that's come through here, but when the names Gary Patterson, Bob Stoops, even Brett Bielema was a defensive coordinator here. There have been a lot of great defensive minds that have come right here through Manhattan, Kansas. And it certainly looks like Tom Hayes has his guys understanding today. A lot of great open field tackles so far, a lot of good angles. It's a smart football team.
Jake Waters is in at quarterback again. The handoff to Hubert. And Hubert gets up to the 17-yard line. You talk of defensive coordinators here at Kansas State. There's another one you failed to mention. His name is Jim Bates.
Hey, how about that? Look at Jim Bates. Wow. That's a nice surprise, guys. Look at that. Man.
What's not there is oh, there it is. Father of James Bates, the guy standing to my right, and the former defensive coordinator for Brady Papinga.
Yeah, I went to my childhood home there for those 2 years yesterday. They about ran me out of there taking pictures of some stranger's house.
They're down in 2. Hubert, can he make it? Got a miss. He breaks the tackle but loses the football. Jeremiah George tries to dive on it. Was he in bounds?
Oh, wow, they need this. Isn't this the way it's been for Iowa State?
They're giving it to Iowa State, but this is going to have to be reviewed.
Man, from up here, I don't know if he had control of the guys running out of bounds.
Well, we're about to see it. How about the play, the hustle? You got to be around that football.
Ruling
Has a
on the
chance
field
at it there.
That the defender recovered before getting out of bounds. First down, Iowa State.
Yeah, he bobbles it as he goes down. This is very unfortunate. Again, there's Nigel Tribune getting it started. There's the hustle play. That's Corey Morrissey. See, he bobbles it right there at the end. I'm not so sure he had.
Previous play is under further review.
You mentioned that Corey Morrissey knocked that ball loose. Jeremiah George, I mean, that ball was fumbled almost by the hash.
Yeah.
And then Jeremiah George had it, kind of kicked it over there towards the sideline. The call on the field is that it is recovered by Iowa State, but I think we're all in agreement that this is going to be reversed.
And man, that is such a blow to the stomach for the defense. I mean, not only did Nigel have a nice shot at him, obviously didn't get the tackle done, but to have the opportunity to have the ball on the ground, yeah, he goes out of bounds before he comes in control with it. But to have the opportunity to get the ball for your offense on your opponent's side of the field, and then have that all of a sudden be reversed to where now you're back at it, and the offense that you're facing has a whole new set of downs. It's a tough one to handle.
You know what was fun about that replay right there? You see some of the coaches and the people on the sideline, you know, saying Iowa State ball, and then you see Jacquez Washington hands to the head like, oh,
yeah.
Man, it was so there.
Well, you got to sell it, don't you? Just like if you come up with that catch or almost catch coming in from the outfield. And well, they've had far too many instant replays. Of course, the one against Texas earlier this year.
Let's bring in Mike Pereira. Mike, you saw it. What's your call on this? And what are they looking for?
Well, I'll tell you, the whole issue is here. Remember now, they did call it a legal recovery at the sideline. Is the foot down when he first gains control, and then as he's going to the ground, did he maintain control of the ball? So there's two aspects to have to look at there. You know, I'm kind of one of those that don't want to change it unless it's absolutely obvious that it's incorrect, and I think this one is really too close to change. If they do change it, though, then it becomes a forward fumble out of bounds, and it's going to have to be returned to the spot of the fumble.
And that's really impressive because Mike was wearing a purple tie.
Yeah, he saw that too. Or maybe that's why he said it that way. Oh, shoot, guys, I can't go on with this crew. It's Kansas State. Oh.
Well, let's see. So there. Well, this makes it really interesting because we were all thinking, let's see, is the foot in bounds right there? Is there enough?
It's tough to see from that angle.
And then did he have control as he's going out?
Here we go.
Wow.
Look at this angle
man.
here.
You could now remember, like you said, it's a Iowa State ball on the field, and you could argue that there is control. Now, when he comes down, it's almost that he maybe never had full control because there is a little bit of a bobble. But that certainly case can be made right there. And like he said, if you're a replay official, or you'd like to think anyway, you try to go with your guys on the field. If it is a coin toss, you'd like to have your guys back down on the field.
That look on Paro's face is like, man, I hope this one doesn't turn out like the one with Texas. Not that they're sort of the same time in the game, but man, he's had calls go against his defense, especially in big games and big moments.
Mike, I know you're still with us. You saw that replay. You kind of oohed and awed, and now let's see if we get the call here.
Iowa State did not recover the football with possession. It's a forward fumble out of bounds. The ball will be returned to the spot of the fumble, the 18.5, where it'll be 4th down.
All right, so Mike, after seeing that replay, I heard you say, ooh, is that when you may have changed your thoughts and thought that it should be reversed?
You know, I mean, again, I'm one of those. I'll stick with really what I think, the fact that it's, you know, when it's so close, because he does have possession, is it enough to be beyond any shadow of a doubt? I don't know. But the fact is they did take it through the forward fumble process, which is a good thing, but it's close. And when it gets to be close, it turns out to be human judgment.
Well, we appreciate all the input there, Mike. And now it's Mark Krause on to punt, as he did not get the yardage for the first down. So Albert Gary is back at his own 41-yard line. A good punt by Krause. Fair catch signaled, and that he lets it go by him, and now it's going to be down all the way at the 15-yard line. Albert Gary signaled for the fair catch, didn't make it, it goes by him, and now it's a 67-yard punt. So think about this, you had the fumble that wasn't a fumble, so you don't get the ball there, then a fair catch that wasn't made, and now it costs you maybe 25 yards. Grant Rohach and the Cyclones taking over at their own 15-yard line. On first down, Rohach to throw, sets up a little screen pass. And Daly gets up to the 20-yard line. Jonathan Truman with a tackle.
Justin, you mentioned it, the punt. They could have started here, the offense of Iowa State. Look at this shadow that runs across midfield. And remember, Jarvis West is hurt. This is Albert Gary. Let me get out of here. You know, he doesn't want to take the chance. Maybe not as confident that he can catch the ball with 3 Wildcats sitting right there. It should be routine, but it is for a guy like Jarvis West. Gary just getting in there here this week to fill in for the speedster West that they hope to get back before year's end, and look at the role and how much it cost him.
Dondre Daly, the player, injured on that play, so he goes out. Good to see him walk off. 2nd down and 5. Tad Ekby comes in, number 6. Neely keeps those legs churning, and he's going to come up just shy of that first down. Time for a Lowe's Never Stop Improving game break. Here's Patrick O'Neill.
Thank you. Number 8, Clemson cruising at Virginia. Cavaliers no answer for Taj Boyd and Sammy Watkins. 96-yard touchdown run, 2nd longest in school history, 2nd of the day for Watkins, and they're on their way to their 8th straight road win. Back to you.
I'm sorry, Patrick. We were told we're going to get an update by Florida. I'm just kidding. James was going crazy over here. 3rd and 1. Running the option. Rohach will keep it. He'll dive forward, and Rohach has that first down. Do you think they're playing that Florida-Georgia line song for that game?
They probably are. You know, it's, gosh, that's tough, too. It's weird. I go to try to get an update every now and then. We go to break. And for this is just the 2nd time since 1979 those two teams have played each other and not been in the top 25. So you got to go to the SEC page, not just the top 25, believe it or not.
23-3, if you were wondering. It's a handoff to Neely. And Neely gets forward, tackled by Ryan Mueller. He's back out there on the field, which is good to see.
Before we get too far away from it, guys, it was very nice of you guys in the truck to surprise me with that Jim Bates picture. My dad said, one thing, coming back to Manhattan, if you do one thing for me, go give Joanne Frederick a hug. 42 years, the head coach's secretary here at Kansas State. Bill Snyder thinks the world of her. Everybody that's ever come through here thinks the world of her. And Joanne, you get better nursing that hip. She had a hip problem here as of late.
Absolutely. On 2nd down and 6, it's Neely breaks a couple of tackles, and he has another first down. Jonathan Truman with his 5th tackle. And to that note, what you just said, we went for dinner last night, and there was a sandwich named after her at the restaurant.
How about that? You know you're pretty special. They don't just talk family, they mean it around here. How about Neely? He's the same guy that made that big flip last week against Oklahoma State.
Rohach, the pass over the middle is complete. at midfield to Albert Gary for 12 yards, another first down. And so all of a sudden, here's Iowa State getting into a bit of a rhythm.
The mix of the run and pass is really working for Iowa State right now. And Grant Rohach is getting into a rhythm. And I think it's giving them a little bit of a security blanket, knowing that they can move the ball on the ground.
James White is now in at tailback here for Iowa State. The guy who led the team in rush in the last 2 years. Picks up the blitz. The pass is incomplete. That was to Quentin Bundridge, who does not have a catch on the day, and that was in his hands.
Guys, it was about that Texas game. Courtney Messingham, the offensive coordinator, challenged number 9. He said, Quentin, it's up to you now. You are the man. You are the one that has to make these big plays. You got to be tough, too. You can't hear those footsteps, and that is a catch they have to have. We've seen too many drops. We've seen too many missed easy throws in the first half. Quentin Bundridge is a playmaker. He has established himself as one. He's got to come up and be consistent, though.
2nd down and 10, running the option. It's kept by Rohach. A flag comes in. The tackle was made by Slaughter and Evans.
Holding, number 66, offense. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's Jacob Dunning, who came in for Daniel Burton before when Burton was injured.
You know, as a coach, you have 2 types of penalties. And one is a combative penalty, like this holding. The others are the mental penalties, like the false starts and such. And from a coach's perspective, you can handle these combative penalties because you know that your guys are out there playing hard. And I'm going to be honest, the refs could probably call holding every single play if they wanted to.
Well, now it's 2nd down and 20. Little pass out to White. And White gets across the 45, tackled by Alana Finau. 7-yard pickup. And so it's going to be 3rd down and 13.
Alana Finau, nice job there. Sticking his foot in the ground and making a direct cut, retracing the steps back to get to the runner. A lot of guys will do what they call those big diesel turns. When I'm talking about the D lineman, where they just turn with a bunch of steps and then they start running.
Rohach gets a block, throws, and that was high, incomplete for Albert Gary.
Boy, just barely, though. That's a bullet thrown in there, and almost a nice big play. Again, buying some time, and he really has. He's got a coolness to him. Rohach does. The play before, even he had a linebacker, blitzing linebacker, right in his face on the screen. Got that off. But again, they just cannot finish. They cannot keep it going all the way down, and credit that K-State defense.
Kirby Vanderkamp takes a good bounce for Iowa State. This one will be marked out of bounds at the 17-yard line. Iowa State being shut out here in Manhattan, Kansas. 20-0, K-State over Iowa State. Visit ADT.com/sports to enter for a chance to win an ADT security and home automation system. 1:27 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Daniel Sams in at quarterback for Kansas State. They've been going back and forth between Sams and Waters. Here Sams will keep it and run with it. And Sams spins away from a couple of tackles, and he gets up to the 24-yard line, picks up 8. Jeremiah George with his 9th tackle.
Coming right at you. Watch George. He's going to come in late. He has to fight to get off of it. That's cool to see it at field level. You notice we've gotten a lot more of these field level shots because we didn't want you to miss that sideline view you had all year, Brady.
It's a beautiful sight up here from the booth, guys. But I mean, talking about Sams there, he finished that runoff with some power.
Yeah.
I mean, he just didn't go down. I mean, he pushed up another couple yards there.
6'2", 205. Play clock is down to 3. He'll take it again, cut it back, and this time he'll get taken down by Rodney Coe, and he will lose a couple yards on this one. But you got to think the reason why Sams is back in there with this 20-0 lead, Bill Snyder just wants to run out this clock.
You guys have maybe heard it before, the 4-minute drill. It's actually kicking it in the 3rd quarter here since they're up 20-0, but all that means is they're shortening the game and trying to run the ball to win it.
They will not run another play here in this third quarter, so instead it'll be 3rd and 4 to start the fourth for the K-State Wildcats. Daniel Sams in at quarterback, looking like a running back, but he gets taken down for a loss. We go to the fourth, 20-0, Kansas State. Start of the fourth quarter, it's 20-0. K-State leading Iowa State. Justin Kutcher alongside James Bates and Brady Papinga here. But look at the effort by Iowa State.
And this is that never say die attitude that Paul Rhodes instills and, like I said, ingrains into the subconscious of his players. They're not going to give up.
On 3rd and now 5 after that loss. Daniel Sams wants to change the play. Play clock is down to 5. Sams back to pass, throws, and the pass is complete to Lockett, with Nigel Tribune draped all over him. A completion of 14 yards.
I'm not sure what Dion Broomfield comes running up clapping his hands, but he runs himself up and out of this window and out of this play. And again, Tribune right there draped on the receiver, uses the body, but you got to stay in there and make that throw tougher underneath. And it was almost ugly coming out of the break. They almost didn't get it off as they changed it, but they certainly checked it the right way. A great job to keep that offense on the field by Sams.
Sams running the option now. He'll pitch it out to Hubert, and Hubert nowhere to go. Jeremiah George forces him out, which brings us to our forward game summary. John Hubert over 100 yards rushing. Kansas State, this is what they've been known for since Bill Snyder took over. Few penalties, no turnovers. That's what they've done. And Iowa State has yet to make it into the red zone. They got stopped on their initial drive when they went for it on 4th and 9, and they haven't been close since. 2nd down and 13 after that loss of 3 on that run. Sams forced inside, and he gets tackled by Jeremiah George. And let's check back in with Patrick O'Neill for a game break.
All right, elsewhere in the Big 12, Kansas at Texas. I know you and the guys like your defensive plays. So Kansas quarterback Jake Heap sacked by Cedric Reed. Chris Whaley, 6'3", 295, 40 yards, touchdown. Texas now leading Kansas 28-6. They control their destiny in the Big 12. They're unbeaten in the conference. Justin, who had more defensive touchdowns, James or Brady?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's 0.
Oh, I got him then. And it was in the Florida-Georgia game, too, guys. They see Patrick does take it.
Jake Waters in on 3rd and 12, but it's Lockett again.
That's just a beautiful execution of what was somewhat of a back shoulder fade, but more just a jump ball to Lockett there on the sidelines, playing against the youngster Nigel Tribune. And you see right here Lockett using his athleticism, getting up, using the strong hands. You got to have strong hands to play wideout, guys.
There's a legacy guy in Lockett. Dad and uncle were superstars here. His uncle was a track star as well.
5 catches, 72 yards. And let's wait to see, maybe this play is going to be reviewed.
Under further review.
Did he come down in bounds? Tyler Lockett.
You know, I take back all those mean things I said about Patrick now. he set us up for a nice one.
You know, you can't blame somebody for just doing their job.
Isn't that the truth? Oh, you know what's funny though is you know, we had a good run there the early 90s with Steve Spurrier, and he loved beating those Georgia Bulldogs. He never lost to the Georgia Bulldogs, and here we'll take another look at it with him. And make sure he comes down with this ball.
Ooh, looks like he does. Right foot.
And it certainly does. He seems to have control of it. It was called a catch on the field. Boom. And I don't see anything there that can flip it back over.
We've got a replay here, which means we get a chance to talk to Mike Pereira again. So, Mike, you're watching this. What are they looking for? What do you see?
Well, I think he's got
After
control,
further review,
gets the
ruling
right
on the
foot
field
down
is
in
confirmed.
bounds.
First down.
Well, you were right, and so were they. It is a first down. Hey, speaking of Florida, though, I thought Joel Klatt, our colleague, put out a great tweet before, where he said, including today's game versus Georgia, Florida has to win out in the SEC in order for Will Muschamp to equal Ron Zook's 3-year SEC win total.
And how about this? Will Muschamp played in those games against Florida in the early 90s. 0-4 as a player, and now it looks like he's going to go 0-3 as a coach.
It's kept here by Waters. Waters, a nice run showing off to everyone who thinks that Daniel Sam's the running quarterback. He gets 16 on that carry.
That's the beauty of deception right there. You see Willie Scott bite on the dive fake, and then you see Waters coming around unabated basically, and then only guys left for him to get tackled by are the secondary guys. That's the beauty of the magician. That's how some of these quarterbacks are. They're like magicians, illusionists.
Robert Rose in the backfield here for Kansas State. Rose gets hit in the backfield by Jevin Miller. No illusion there, a loss of 5.
And that's the #1 thing that destroys a running play. And that's just either middle penetration or, in that case, a blitz in the middle there.
Maybe that's something to do, too. If you're at a magic show, you can just go up and punch the magician in the nose. That'll
bring it
stop
right
him.
to him. That's
You're
right.
fooling me, and I don't like it. Boom.
I'm not buying it.
Nothing up my sleeve.
Second down and 15. Hubert is back in at tailback. Play clock is down to 2. Waters taking the shot for the end zone. Incomplete. Tyler Lockett with Nigel Tribune again on the coverage. And I've been impressed by Tribune. He's been step for step with these guys all day long.
He's been holding his own, but you're going to see here Lockett, the old savvy vet. Watch what he does at the end there. He tries to give a little push to create space on the boundary so that he has somewhere to land when he catches the ball.
And crafty with it, too. See how the official, it's in between his hands, his body's in between, his hands going on Tribune. He doesn't get him outside of his core, keeps him inside, just subtle enough to get some space. Man, what a beautifully thrown football, too, almost big time.
Waters on 3rd and 15. And that pass is complete to Tremaine Thompson at the 3. A 27-yard completion as he was matched up against Jared Brackens.
And Jared Brackens, I feel your pain, bro. I've been there numerous times. He's running as hard as he can because he's getting pressed vertically, and right past his ear comes the ball. And a lot of these times, these quarterbacks, you'll see that they're being taught today that if the defender's not looking, you throw it right at his head. And right there, you see a beautiful completion go right by the head of Jared Brackens.
Now Daniel Sams comes in, but a timeout will be taken here by Kansas State.
They're first of the half.
Thompson's banged up, guys. He missed 2 weeks already.
They look at Thompson on the sidelines. K-State calls a timeout. It's 1st and goal from the 3 with Daniel Sams back in at quarterback when we come back. Well, we're back here at Bill Snyder Family Stadium, 20-0, Kansas State leading, facing a 1st and goal from the 3. Daniel Sams is in at quarterback after Jake Waters led this team down on this drive. Really a combination of the two, Waters and Sams. Sams in a shotgun with Hubert in the backfield. They're 3 for 3 on 3rd down conversions. And now Hubert takes the handoff and walks into the end zone. Second touchdown of the day for John Hubert. 15 carries, 105 yards, and 2 TDs for the senior from Waco, Texas.
Just going to ride it and read it on in and strolling on in. A good job again
Right, you can't stress enough. 5 offensive linemen that have started every game this season together. 5 veteran offensive linemen that truthfully expected a little bit more out of it early on, but they're really starting to play well and come together. Made it easy for them.
The extra point is good by Cancelli. A 5-minute and 30-second drive ends in a touchdown by John Hubert. And it's now 27-0 Kansas State over Iowa State. Fox College Thursday, presented by Kay Jewelers, returns with an epic Big 12 showdown between national championship contenders as the 10th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners head to Waco to take on 6th-ranked Baylor in the biggest test of the season for the undefeated Bears. Coverage of Oklahoma-Baylor begins Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here only on Fox Sports 1. Myself, Joel Klatt, Petros Papadakis, and Christina Pink will be in Waco for that one. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
You aren't kidding. How about Texas Tech and OU last weekend? That was a heck of a game. Got a lot of fun football left to be played. You lucky dogs.
Patterson kicks off to Gary, who takes the short kick and gets it back up to the 30-yard line here for Iowa State.
You know, guys, speaking of Texas Tech, it's a Kansas State team that's at Texas Tech next up. That should be an interesting football game. Kansas State against a Texas Tech team that's played really well for Cliff Kingsbury this time, and a Kansas State team a little bit late. You know, they opened the year in North Dakota State, an upset loss, but they've really gotten legs underneath them, and they're staying healthy.
On first down, Devondrick Neely gets tackled by Blake Slaughter after picking up 1.
And to talk about that matchup a little more there, James, it's sort of a contrast to 2 styles with Kansas State and Texas Tech. Texas Tech wants to spread you out. They want to throw the ball. Kansas State on the flip side, they're more physical. They want to condense the formation, obviously use their running backs and their quarterbacks in the running game. So it will be an interesting matchup. You were correct.
And the Kansas State team that did very well, almost getting the upset win against Baylor a couple weeks ago. A team that really spread you out.
And that was without their 2 best playmakers, as you talked about it at the top of the show with Lockett and Thompson. Albert Gary on the completion gets 10 in the first down.
Gary from Horse Country down there in Ocala, Florida, with Charlie Weiss, Big 12 head coach over at KU. Had a home when he was on Will Muschamp's staff, and Ty Zimmerman almost had his 2nd interception of the game there, guys. Just missed it on that break.
James White in at tailback. Rojas doesn't see from behind. That's Ryan Mueller with his first sack of the day. His 7th of the season, a loss of 6.
Boy, he brought the hammer, didn't he? Here he is, big number 44. Watch this effort. Him come around this edge. It's just a whole lot of want to. Daigle barely even up out of his 3-point stance. And when he comes hard. The horticulture major planning the Iowa State quarterback.
You see that strip right there at the very end of the play. That's a drill that these guys do every single day. They run a hoop, and then there's this big bag with a football that's Velcro to it that these guys go and they use the tomahawk swat to try to get that ball out when they make a sack.
Brady, I was at the Cowboys complex a couple weeks ago. Where did they have, when you were there, the ball that is hooked up to the wall on like the hard spring, where in the defensive line meeting room, no less, and they just slap at it every time? Did they have that contraption?
Like your dad always said, you got to make those simple activities like stripping the ball a subconscious consciousness.
2nd down and 16. Rojas gets rid of it quickly this time, and it's dropped by Justin Coleman. And with that drop, we've got time for a game break. Let's go back to Patrick.
Thank you. What a game going on in South Bend. Navy at Notre Dame. This is Cam McDaniel, 4 yards out. They would review it, ruled a touchdown. The 8th lead change of this game. Now Irish leading the midshipmen 31-27. I have a feeling, Justin, we'll be back to this one. Back to you.
I have a feeling you are correct. Right now it's 27-0 here in Manhattan, Kansas, and it's 3rd and 16. Rojas with time throws, and that pass is complete to his tailback James White, but they only get 4 when they needed 16. Jonathan Truman with his 6th tackle of the day. And right now, Rohach is still on the field. 4th and 11, 8:55 to go. And Paul Rhodes saying, let's go for it. What do we have to lose?
I like it. You got to give Rohach, I think, some experience in these kind of situations. The guy doesn't have much game experience, but he's showing something. I think he's showing a little bit of a spark for that Iowa State offense.
Play clock is down to 4. Rohach stepping up, pressure, and he gets taken down. Alana Fee now.
That's just a beautiful, what they call coverage sack. And basically what's going on is the safeties are playing deep and keeping the receivers in front of them, doing a nice job on Kansas State's deep.
The defense of K-State pitching a shutout. Paul Rhodes looking on as his team trails 27-0. Entering this game 1-6, 0-4 in the Big 12. Daniel Sams in at quarterback in the shotgun with his fullback Glenn Gronkowski. Again, just expecting Bill Snyder and this K-State offense to run the ball and take time off the clock. Here is the run by Sams, cutting it back. And Sams able to stay in bounds. Jansen Watson with the tackle. And he will get 9 yards there on first down.
Yeah, which one is the hitter and which one is the hittee? Got such a big man, and you got to go low on him trying to drop him. But 5'9", Jansen Watson trying to chop down the big tree of 6'2", 210-pound Daniel Sams. You know, Sams mentioned earlier he's from the Louisiana or New Orleans, Louisiana area. Slidell is one of many schools. So Salmon High School devastated by Hurricane Katrina a couple years ago.
2nd and 1, he will get the first down, tripped up by Corey Morrissey. Daniel Sams and Jake Waters splitting time at quarterback throughout this year for Kansas State, trying to fill the shoes left by Colin Klein, who was a Heisman finalist last year.
You can't say this for all two-headed quarterback systems, but you really didn't get a lot of hiccup in the transitions. It's been interesting the way that they've moved them in and out. It's been seamlessly for the most part.
Sams to throw, looking for Thompson, and that's incomplete, but pass interference. Dion Broomfield. What they called it? He caught it for the touchdown.
Whoa!
Wow!
We went to break earlier, and Tremaine Thompson was being looked at by the medical staff. He's already missed some time. He had mono.
Pass interference, number 2 of the defense. Penalties declined, touchdown.
I got to be honest, all of a sudden I see all these flags flying. What a catch.
This is a guy that's 5'8", 165 pounds, and to be able to muscle off a defender that has really given up and said, hey, look, I'm going to take this penalty and just put my head down and drill this guy. As he's being hit, Dion Broomfield is running through him, as he probably should. Live to play another down. He finds a way to hang on to it. Hey, I think everybody in the house was a surprise.
Wow. Jack Cantelli now for the extra point.
Green, ready, set.
You got ninjas over there on the sidelines too. Here it is. Wow.
That's a heck of a catch.
Wow. That is the one. Hey, I'm not saying it's how he got it, but mono is the kissing disease. Somebody give that guy a great big kiss right now. That's the one, Justin. Look at that. Man. Wow. That's fun. And hey, this is a Kansas State team. We mentioned Texas Tech, TCU, Oklahoma, and Kansas. The rest of their schedule, it is a team that is feeling very good about itself right now. Obviously a nice rhythm, 34-0.
Here with 7 minutes left in this football game, and it's also a scary football team for these teams the rest of the way.
Bill Snyder talked to us about there is something missing on this team. He sees some improvement, but as far as the attention to detail, not committing turnovers, penalties. Neely on the return, and he will get across the 25. Iowa State will take over, and let's check back in with Patrick for a game break.
Hey, appreciate it. Other Big 12 action, West Virginia at TCU. Clint Trickett, the boot. Cody Clay, look at the effort. And he's in, 11-yard touchdown. West Virginia was down 17-3, but they now lead TCU 20-17 in the fourth quarter. Justin, James, Brady, back to you guys.
Well, it's 34-0 here at K-State. The Wildcats leading the Cyclones. 7 minutes to go. And it's been Grant Rohach in this game for a while. Sam Richardson. The question for the starting quarterback was his health, and he left the game back in that first half. They're going to swing it out to Neely. And Neely will get across the 30 up to the 31, tackled by Ty Zimmerman.
You know, Gary Patterson, former Kansas State Wildcat, there's a shot of Sam Richardson on the sidelines. As the head coach, he's never lost 3 in a row. TCU riding a 2-game losing streak right now. They try to quick count them here, and they use a timeout.
Timeout, Kansas State.
A timeout taken by K-State. Ty Zimmerman looked a bit shaken up as he now gets checked out by the training staff. But it's a lot of smiles here for the Wildcats, leading 34-0 here in the fourth quarter.
A.J. McCarron, he may not have all the flash, but he certainly doesn't lose football games. Trying to get another national title for his Crimson Tide.
That is the first catch of the game for Quentin Bundridge. And that will result in a first down. But, you know, you put those Heisman guys up there, and I think it's almost unanimous at this point for the top 3 candidates for the Heisman Trophy in the order that you had it. Mariota, Winston, and Manziel.
And if Winston goes out tonight and does again what he did against Clemson, and it's certainly not playing like a redshirt freshman, he may, for half a week, take the lead.
On first down, the pass to E.J. Bibbs, and Bibbs up to the 46-yard line, tackled by Randall Evans.
If A.J. McCarron, Justin, if they keep winning and he doesn't at least make a trip to New York City, that's a travesty.
I agree.
A complete travesty.
On 2nd and 4, that pass is picked off by Dorian Roberts. Roberts with some blockers down the sidelines, and Roberts gets tripped up by James White, and that just saved a touchdown. The second interception of the year for the former walk-on Dorian Roberts.
Ongoing theme, isn't it? Former walk-on, big play. Former walk-on, big play. And I know we're miles away from the ocean, but right now it's starting to feel like Shark Week here in Manhattan, Kansas. It's a feeding frenzy for this defense. And I know we lost Brady, had to go down and do some work down the sidelines. But this right here for a defense, a fourth quarter like this, as you start to kind of tick down towards the end and you just continue to dominate and make big plays and try to get that shutout, it really is a lot of fun for some defenders.
Robert Rose on the carry, and Rose, he's up to the 9-yard line, and he will have a first down. So it's 1st and goal from the 9 for Kansas State.
You know, I know it's going to be tough for an Iowa State fan to find a whole lot of bright spots in such a lopsided game, but I think that young man with the headset on right now really has been a nice bright spot in this game. Really played well for a freshman.
It's Rose again with a cutback for the touchdown. First rushing touchdown of the year for Robert Rose. This one from 9 yards out.
They have him, is he 5'4"? We have him listed here at 5'4" Robert Rose, and those offensive linemen were celebrating with him, and they threw him down like a rag doll. Oh man,
Miami Springs guy.
It's funny you mentioned that Shark Week. It's like watching like a bear on National Geographic and just taking like a tree and moving it. The kick is good by Jack Cantelli. Dorian Roberts set up this one, picking off Grant Rohach. The second interception Rohach has thrown this year, the second interception for Dorian Roberts this year. And then Robert Rose out of Miami runs it in from 9 yards.
Look at these big splits. You beat them by alignment. You see how they get everybody out of position. Now you get them over pursuing. Everybody's going to go try to make a play down low. Boom, go ahead and speed it up. Just a nice stopping on a dime and taking it back across. Robert Rose getting involved. Going 2 plays back, Justin. One thing that stood out, obviously, it was a pretty interception by Dorian Roberts, but Quentin Bundridge has been challenged by his coaching staff time and time again, and he was posted. That is one thing that Brady started this broadcast off with, and it is one thing that time and time again, guys like Jeremiah George have played their tails off. Number 9 wasn't on that play, and it cost his team. There was no fight in that route.
Neely on the return. Devondrick Neely, a good return here for Iowa State as he's across the 40 up to the 41. Well, John Hubert, the senior out of Waco, Texas, he's had himself a nice ball game. A couple of touchdowns, 105 yards on the ground. Daniel Sams, 1 touchdown on the ground, 1 touchdown in the air. And of course, this Wildcat defense, a couple of picks, no points allowed, just 237 total yards allowed. The longest play that Kansas State has given up on the day, 16 yards. Rohach over the middle. That was tipped and incomplete. E.J. Bibbs could not come up with it. It hit the ground through the hands of Tad Ekby. I don't want to make excuses for this Iowa State team, but you think about what they've gone through this year. Just look at last week against Oklahoma State. They played without Aaron Wimberly, Willie Scott, Luke Knott, Jacob Gannon, Kyle Lichtenberg. In that game, Sam Richardson, Jarvis West, E.J. Bibbs, they all left with injuries. You guys have spoken about the fact that this is the first time all year they played with the same offensive line as the week before. They've been hit with the injury bug in a big way when there are question marks already coming in about the team.
Well, and it's really a tough season, and all these coaches, you're in it long enough and you're going to go through them, and there have been so many good games and big wins. They're just so tough to come by with all these injuries. There's almost another big pick, and that one would have gone to the house.
Randall Evans came over, the pass intended for P.J. Harris, but that was into double coverage. Coming up tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Fox Sports 1, Colorado at number 20, UCLA in the Rose Bowl. Kirby Vanderkamp on to punt. Tremaine Thompson, who made that great catch for the touchdown, is back at his own 29. I was looking at the short man. Thompson was all the way back, and now will be down inside the 5. They're going to mark it down at the 1. Bill Snyder. James, you said before that maybe the best coaching job of anybody in college football since he took over, because he took over. Just look at this. The other 96 seasons, look at their winning percentage, 379. They're winning at a clip of 660 with Snyder as the head coach. Been to 14 bowl games with him, 173, 89, and 1. It's remarkable.
And he came here after being part of a staff that turned around an Iowa football program.
On first down, it's Rose on the carry, just trying to give his quarterback some breathing room.
He arrived, and there were 47 guys on scholarship. 47 of 85, 90 that you could have on scholarship. The fewest scholarships in the country. He asked Joanne Frederick, his secretary, can you please, the outgoing seniors, can you please have them? I would like to meet them in the meeting room. They came in, they had never, as a group, never won a football game. In 4 years of college football, had never won a football game.
It's Rose again on the carry.
He said to him, he said, guys, I'm sorry I won't get the opportunity. This may be a
the ball has
fumble.
come loose,
Goodness.
yep, and it is recovered here by Iowa State. Darius West.
Get that goose egg off the board. He said, gentlemen, I'm sorry I won't get a chance to coach you, and just talked about the mentality and what losing had done to this program. The guys told him oh shoot, we've got Rose down as well now.
Robert Rose is the player injured. Levi Peters forced the fumble, but Robert Rose is writhing in pain down on the field.
You know, and these seniors, there's Coach Bill Snyder checking on his running back, but they said we're embarrassed to wear our Letterman's jackets out on campus. We're embarrassed to go to class on Mondays. And you know, he just talked about just changing that mentality and that mindset, and this is such a shame. We just saw Rose, the senior, having some fun trotting into the end zone. He looks like he's definitely in a lot of pain.
Let's take a look at the replay and if we could see anything here.
Yeah.
He's going to get helped off the field here. With 3.5 to go in a 41-0 game. Hate to see this happen at any point.
Yeah. You know, hopefully it's just a sprain and they can get number 5 back out there. Watch one more. It looks like, oh, he steps on the foot there of the defensive end.
Devin Lemke.
Kind of made it awkward on that foot that went down. There's Levi Peters getting in there in the mix. Put some points on the board now. Cyclones a chance.
Hand off to Neely. A flag on the play. Neely will get into the end zone. Let's see what this flag is for. It looks like it's going against Kansas State.
Holding, number 97 defense. Penalties declined. Touchdown.
Iowa State is on the board. Devondrick Neely with the touchdown.
Demonte Hood doing what they asked those big guys to do there in the middle. Eat up those blockers, but you eat them up with your mass. You can't hold on to them. So how about that? Cyclones getting that big 0 out of the scoring column.
Now Cole Netton on for the extra point. And it's 41-7. With 3 running backs in on first down. The handoff to Devondrick Neely. Neely gets the edge, and he's able to walk in untouched.
And he gets a key block from his buddy Chantrell Johnson. Right here, watch Chantrell. He's just going to lead the way. Setting that in. Look at him fight up front. Well, I beg your pardon. That was James White with the cut block. And then you've got Chantrell back there as well, helping to lead the charge. But good job getting those guys down. It shows you how much that offensive front, Justin, didn't want to go home empty-handed, as tough as it is with this big loss. It's even tougher when you look up there and you didn't get into the paint one time all day long.
Edwin Arceo will kick off now for Iowa State with under 3.5 to play. Tyler Lockett, the deep man. They were set up in case for an onside kick, but down 41-7, they'll kick it away. And it's taken at the 1 by Lockett. Lockett with a cutback, and he'll be tackled as he crosses the 12 up to the 13-yard line. And let's check in on that Notre Dame-Navy game with Patrick O'Neill.
Yeah, figured we'd come.
Well, I think it's safe to say that this is not one of those games here in Manhattan, Kansas, where the team with the ball last is going to win it, unless, of course, it's Kansas State with the ball last, as they lead 41-7 with 3:18 to play. The third-string quarterback, Joe Huebner, is now into the game here for Kansas State.
So, Justin, in our sit-down yesterday with Coach Bill Snyder, he hit on it immediately. Coach, give us the broad stroke this season. And he goes right to it. Turnovers, penalties, and giving up the big plays. We just saw it, the first turnover of the game for his offense. It resulted in 7 points. One penalty on the game. The second one declined here, of course, with the touchdown. Longest play allowed, 16 yards. Kansas State team that, you know, traditionally his teams have finished strong, and they have gotten their point across. They got their first win last weekend, Big 12 play against West Virginia, a nice win. Now they're backing it up with another one here, and then they go on the road, take on Texas Tech next. Oh yeah, by the way, third down defense, 29% for Iowa State. Iowa State's offense, that is. This has been a crisp, clean football game for the Kansas State Wildcats here today. There's Levi Peters. Look at Levi Peters off the top rope. Whoa, yeah. We asked Wally Burnham. We asked him about Levi Peters. He's the backup for Jevin Miller at the linebacker spot.
Iowa State, they're first of the half. 30 seconds in late.
Did Macho Man Randy Savage just make an appearance in the booth?
I've been waiting the whole game for 35 to make a play so I could tell him that Wally Burnham said that if anybody's a cage wrestler on our defense, it's number 35. And look at him. Look at him. Oh, that's awesome. Walk on. He was a state champion wrestler back in Gilmore City, Iowa. Little town.
Can I hear Macho Man again? I gotta hear that.
Did I go Macho Man?
You went Macho Man.
Was I saying that out loud?
Oh yeah.
Here's all you little Hulkamaniacs out there. Oh man. Well, that got me up off my seat. I needed that.
That was a Schultz of Red Bull for you.
It was like a Levi Peters energy drink. I mean, how about that though? The one tackle.
I'm just happy that Brady wasn't up here in the booth, because the two of you guys, I think you guys would have combusted. Mark Krause on to punt from his 5. Albert Gary signals for the fair catch, makes it at the 33. Our Right Stuff player of the game, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, John Hubert. The senior from Waco, Texas, 105 rushing yards, couple of touchdowns. You know that he broke LaDainian Tomlinson's high school record in Waco?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that player of the game isn't Levi Peters after that tackle. Well, Hubert, and that's what makes it all happen. When you can establish that running game, that physical running game with Hubert behind that offensive line, it opens up everything. It makes that quarterback run option that more deadly. It makes the throws, obviously, that much more trouble to defend.
That pass was deflected at the line. Tipped by Valentino Coleman. He talks about Kansas State's upcoming schedule next week at Texas Tech. They're home against TCU in Oklahoma. Then they finish up on the road at Kansas. For Iowa State, next week they're home against TCU. Then they're on the road at Oklahoma as Roach is scrambling. And Roach is going to get ripped to the ground. Jordan Willis with the sack. But Iowa State on the 23rd of November is home against Kansas, and they wrap up the season on the road at West Virginia.
There's the cage fighter getting ready to go out there on special teams. You know, this has been a well officiated game as well. We've seen a lot of hits that could go either way, and they've kind of leaned towards the side of letting them play some football.
3rd and 11. Rojas, that pass is tipped and intercepted. Back the other way to Corey Johnson, who gets shoved out of bounds at the 1 by Devondrick Neely. That could be the one. That was a hit.
How about Neely? This game has been over for a long time now. Devondrick Neely, remember, he's the guy who's on all the highlight reels. He's one of the big ones from last weekend. But the effort to go run him down at the corner, you know, not to mention just the defense that continues to play. And look at that. That's a running back. You know, he easily, I don't know that anybody really would have noticed it had he just taken a couple steps and acted like he was going to take the angle onto Corey Johnson. But fighting to the last minute, and that's just how we started this broadcast, talking about this Iowa State team that's down, but certainly not out, and they'll fight to the very end.
Wow. I'll tell you what, wearing number 20, he could play in the secondary with that type of a hit.
From Monticello, Florida.
What do you know, another Florida guy?
Hey, Iowa State, Paul Rhodes, you keep recruiting them, and I'll keep pointing them out. Monticello, just east of Tallahassee, where there's a pretty big football game getting ready to go on tonight between the Canes and the Noles.
Leading 41-7. It looks like Joe Huebner's going to take a knee. I like this move. Bill Snyder, you don't need more points.
You think Bill's buddy Urban would take a knee here? They need a touchdown. You know, it's like you talk about those style points. They need to keep winning big and pretty. Coach Bill Snyder. Well, this was a treat. You know what? Both of these gentlemen, and how about this from Bill Snyder, Justin? He said, I don't know how much Paul Rhodes and I are alike, but I think he's a better football coach than I am. He's an awful good person, and that works extremely hard. And I think the similarities are somewhat like that. Their players are accustomed to a demanding program, and they work extremely hard, and they play hard. That is Bill Snyder talking about Iowa State head coach Paul Rhodes this week.
41-7. That is the score here, as Kansas State taking a knee to end this one after a return down to the 1-yard line on that interception return. And that will do it. Kansas State with the victory will move to 4-4 overall. 2-3 in conference play. Iowa State falls to 1-7, 0-5 in the Big 12. Bill Snyder and his Wildcats get yet another victory. 41-7. And let's go down to Brady Papinga, who is with the winning coach.
Hey, Coach, today obviously you guys came out and were able to control the game from the beginning to the very end. Tell us what was key for your team coming out today and playing as well as they did.
Well, I don't know if we played as well as you may have thought we did. You know, we turned the ball over twice. That's not a good thing to do. We had 2 good drives to open the ball game, and then we stalled. They had to settle for a field goal on the second drive, and then after that we were 3 and out 2 or 3 times. So I don't think it was good as you might think. We played well on defense.
Talk to us about your defense. What was so good about your defense today? Obviously they were able to hold out Iowa State for pretty much the whole game out of the end zone.
Well, we didn't give up any plays. We did a nice job of being where we were supposed to be. You know, we just played assignment sound football, and we got a couple of turnovers as well.
Well, we appreciate it, Coach, and enjoy your victory.
Thank you.
And Brady almost got into the locker room with Coach Snyder. Coach Snyder does not wait for anybody. He will not wait for us to come back from break either. But we'll be back right after this. Here in Manhattan, Kansas, the K-State Wildcats did what they wanted to do. They ran the ball effectively, threw the ball effectively, and they win 41-7 over Iowa State. Justin Kutcher alongside James Bates back up here. And James, when speaking with Coach Snyder yesterday, he said to us, and you talked about this on the broadcast, that the reason why they've lost last few games, penalties, turnovers, and they've given up too many big plays.
Yep.
They basically solved all three of those problems in this game.
Yeah, they did what they wanted to do today because they did what they had to do. And what you have to do at Kansas State, Bill Snyder said, this is how we win football games. We play clean football. Well, today, one penalty all day long, one turnover, and it was very late, right down at the goal line, and that's what gave them the 7 points. Otherwise, they would have had a shutout. Held Iowa State to 27% on third downs, and the biggest play of the game, and we see it so many times in college football every Saturday, teams giving up big plays. The longest play was 16 yards for Iowa State's offense today.
We talked about this coming into the show. The fact that last year, Kansas State, they had one quarterback, Colin Klein, and he was the guy. Well, this year, it's a two-headed monster, and they ran that two-headed quarterback system nearly to perfection in this game.
Yeah, the substitutions, no rhyme or reason. Let's throw this guy in there. Let's throw Waters in there. Let's throw Sams in there. And they really ran it well. Obviously, it shows when you don't turn the football over. Waters, of course, the thrower of the two. He goes 9 of 15 for 157 yards. Ran the ball 7 times for 32 yards. Just enough to make these defenses fear you and respect you. And, of course, Daniel Sams, the sophomore from the shores of Lake Pontchartrain. Well, he did it through the air. 4 of 5, not bad. 64 yards and a touchdown. But he's fun to watch on the ground. 13 carries, 58 yards. He got a little bit of help from some guys like Thompson and Lockett coming back into the mix. The playmakers are back, and they had some fun today in Manhattan.
Looking at the numbers, you see it, the 2 touchdowns for Sams, 1 rushing, 1 throwing. It's impressive to think how they're able to work this quarterback system in, but also how they run their offense. It's not your typical offense that you're used to seeing. These almost, looks like the quarterback's going to run, then they throw, and those type of plays led to some big plays for Kansas State.
It's a lot of misdirection. It's a lot of power football, and in this day and age, so much of it is about the tempo. So much, these defenses, they face teams that are tempo, spreading you out. I mean, Baylor, literally, they've got receivers standing on the boundary lines. You're so spread out. And it's really nice to see kind of a little bit of a throwback type of football, but it's not nice if you're a defensive coordinator. It's not nice if you're a defensive player when it's tough for your scout team to give you that look, and you don't see it. And now you do, and you get one thing working, that run works like we saw today. Wow, the run works and opens everything else. Everything seems to work.
Well, when you run the ball well, that opens the passing game like you talked about, and they got a couple of their big-time playmakers back last week against West Virginia. Those 2 guys produced, and all of a sudden here in this game, we saw a couple of these guys come up with some big plays. Thompson made some phenomenal catches. He may have 3 nominations for the one tonight on Fox Sports Live.
Yeah, we had quite a few. And defensively, we had a few big plays as well. Tremaine Thompson is the senior, 5'7", but gosh, he plays like he's 6'3" in there. The way so many times we saw him fight and muscle for the football. There are some big, strong defensive backs that he played against today for the Cyclones. Look at this one. This is against Broomfield. Here's a situation. You've got a guy in Broomfield, Deion Broomfield, as any good defensive back should. You realize I'm beat. There's nothing I can do but interfere with this guy, knock him down, break up the ball, and live, even though it's going to be there on my doorstep, live to play another down instead of giving up an easy touchdown. So he's getting hit by Broomfield, finds a way to hold on to it with one hand. And, these are 2 return guys, too, in Thompson and Lockett. I'm telling you, the rest of the way, you got your Texas Techs, your Oklahoma, TCU, I believe. This is a tough out for all these teams, for Kansas State now, the way they're playing right now. I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, 455 total yards of offense for Kansas State. For Iowa State, 251 total yards. You look at the points off turnovers.
Well, in the big plays, we've got it highlighted there. The plays of 20-plus yards, way too many. You look at the Baylor game a couple weeks ago. One of the better teams in the nation, the Baylor Bears, came to town, and they're lucky to get out of here with a win. And that was with a couple plays that went the entire length of the field, big plays. Just too many big plays given up in that game, or else they would have won the football game. They gave up 0 today. And teams that can keep teams in front of them and make them chip their way down the field, get a penalty and back them up, turn the football over, that's how you win football games. And Bill Snyder and his football team certainly knows it.
And let's not forget about Iowa State. We talked about their toughness coming in. They played tough and hard throughout the entire day. They did not give up even at the end. For Brady Papinga, James Bates, and our entire Fox Sports crew, I am Justin Kutcher. The final score from the Little Apple: Kansas State 41, Iowa State 7. Coming up after the short break, we'll take you back to the Fox College Saturday studios. Rob Stone, Eddie George, and Joel Klatt. They're coming up right after this.